It is week 2. Welcome to RotoWire, the start, sit, show. Excited that everybody's here today. Let's get your questions rolling. Do have a super chat. That's the way to get to the front of the line. And John Paris got the first spot here today. My hero of 2, Charbonnet, Shahid, or Pacheco. So look, Charbonnet right now, 58% of the snaps last week. More decisive of a runner. Defense are probably not going to respect the pass with Darnold. My guess is he's going to continue to see significant work. So I do like Zach Charbonnet here. There's always a little uncertainty because things could switch. I have him as my running back 26 against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got lit up on the ground last week. Between Shahid and Pacheco, at least Shahid had, I believe, 7 targets last week. So, and they're playing San Francisco, and San Francisco is not really an elite defense. They have a number of good players, but they can be had. And so Shahid should get some volume. Pacheco, it was worrisome last week. He had more snaps than Kareem Hunt, but they both had 5 carries. They both had 3 targets. And right now, it's hard to see Andy Reid changing what he's doing. So I don't know why he's giving Hunt the carries he's giving him, because they are not efficient and he can't really run anymore, but Andy Reid likes him. So I'm going to say I would have to sit Pacheco here until we know that Coach Reid changes his mind about Kareem Hunt. And unfortunately, that's not likely to happen soon. All right. Delroy. All right. More on you as well. Full PPR. Hunter Henry or David Njoku. Hunter Henry since the middle of last season, maybe week 10-ish, and including week 1 last week. It's pretty much the same stat line every week. It's right around 50 yards. It's right around 6 to 8 targets. He's a really solid floor play. Now, he doesn't get in the end zone much, and they didn't score many points last week. They're playing Miami days. There could be more points, but as to who gets the red zone looks, that's tough to call. But Njoku, on the other hand, he played like 81% of the snaps. He played more than Harold Fannin, and he had 6 targets. Fannin had 9. They play different positions. They move Fannin all over the place, so he's kind of like a joker. But and last week Cincinnati was like a really easy matchup, and so I'm worried about Njoku right now because they're playing Baltimore today, and Baltimore's those 3 safety looks, and they're probably going to be tough. They're probably not going to give up a lot of points here, and I can see Flacco making some mistakes. So I'd give the edge to Hunter Henry for the floor. I think Henry has that safe floor, so that's why I'd roll with him. Consider Njoku boom bust if you got to swing for defense, because he could make something happen. That's a swing for defense call, though. Max, welcome back. Happy week 2. Appreciate you listening to my Mario show. We really do appreciate you and others that take the time to listen to our shows. It means a lot to us. 12 team, need 1 standard scoring. McMillan, Tet McMillan, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers, and you need 1 of those. As you saw last week, Jacoby Myers has an insanely high floor. It goes back to last year when Adams got traded. You commonly see him with 9+ targets in games. So in terms of high floor, you can't do better than Jacoby Myers. With McMillan, look, we love him as a player, but Bryce Young, again, I talked about this in preseason. He's not going to throw for 200 yards much. It was 154 last week. He barely completed half of his passes. Bryce Young's a liability. And it wasn't like McMillan got all the targets. It was split like close to even. It was like 9, 7, and 6 between him and Liggett and Hunter Renfrow. So it wasn't like he just jammed the targets in McMillan. So he's it's dicey to play him because we don't know with Bryce Young how bad it's going to get. And I'm worried Arizona could throw him some crazy looks. DJ Moore, I think, is your boom bust play here because Ben Johnson knows how Detroit's defense works. Obviously, a different coordinator, but he knows all the personnel. He knows how to attack them. And DJ Moore was weaponized. He got missed on a couple of passes. He could have had a much bigger day last week against a tough Minnesota defense. Olave is a high floor play too, but not to Jacoby Myers, though. Olave had more targets than Myers, but Myers has higher quality targets. Obviously, you get him from Geno Smith as opposed to Spencer Rattler. So I would say Myers your floor play. DJ Moore is your boom bust swing for defense because he can have a big game here. Moore has a decent floor too, but I think if you want the highest floor, it's going to be Myers. Unite Santini, start 2 in PPR, Trey Henderson, Monty, and JMO. Bears get their top cornerback today. Not that that's necessarily means he's going to be on Jameson Williams, but it means the Bears secondary is a little better. Their slot corners out. That shouldn't impact Jameson Williams much. Bears don't have the greatest pass rush. They could scheme a little bit up. Better matchup for Montgomery than last week, I think. I think this Green Bay's was underrated coming into the season. A really good defense. Bears were a decent run defense. I think Montgomery has a shot here. I think Montgomery, I like him for floor. And then between Henderson and Jameson Williams. So it's gonna Henderson had 5 carries. He had a few catches last week too. So he's gonna get some opportunity here. And I do think there's I don't know. I think Henderson's still gonna split the backfield with Stevenson. I think last week Stevenson had like top of my head, 70% of the snaps might have been a little lower than that, but he dominated the snaps. The 227 back is going to get his play. But I do think that Henderson probably has a little bit better of a floor than JMO, but JMO is going to be your boom bust play because the Bears don't have that great pass rush, and this might be the game where they can actually get him down for a big play, and they're going to try. So I would go with Monty. I'd go with Henderson for the floor. But again, I would go if you want to go a little more boom bust, then I would remove JMO. I'm sorry, I would remove Henderson. Would be my second floor play, and I would try to go with JMO. Let me just see. Tre'Davious White's active today for not that that's a great shakes, but Buffalo doesn't have to dig into the tool bag of more corners. Delroy Fields or Prescott. I have them both on a lot of my teams, and at this point, I love Prescott, and Prescott's going to have a great season. There's a good chance, though, Dallas plays in a close game where they have a lead, and we saw last week they're willing to run, and their interior line, they can maul people. So Prescott can hit ceiling here, but this could be a game where it's lower scoring, and Dallas plays a conservative width. So I think Fields is the play here. Fields, and Pittsburgh contains rushing quarterbacks. They always contain Lamar, and so Fields went 12 for 48, but those 12 carries against most other teams, that's 70 yards. So I do think Fields is for real in this offense. I don't know the efficiency will be what it was passing last week, but I do think he's the real deal here. And Buffalo's out at Oliver. It's a huge loss for them in the interior in that run game. So I would give Fields the edge because I think his floor is higher and I think his ceiling is higher. Just Prescott. I want Prescott a little more in those tougher matchups when I have those two options. And then United Santini's back with another one. You got half PPR, RJ Harvey, Montgomery, and Charbonnet. Harvey played about 30% of the snaps last week. He had the 50-yard run, and we love that. But Tyler Bidet played like too much. And Denver Post is reporting that Bidet is going to be in. He was in a lot of passing downs. He was in the hurry-up offense. So this looks like a three-headed monster right now with Dobbins being the 50% guy. Harvey's going to have one big play to make it. So it's hard to count on that. So I think Montgomery, as I said earlier, I think Montgomery and Charbonnet are both good plays, but I think Montgomery against the Bears, I think that run ability, I think that's going to be a little higher. He's a little more likely to score than Charbonnet. Monty's role is pretty secure. I don't think the Bears if the Bears do get a lead, it's not going to be a big lead. So I think that this could be more of a Montgomery. The splits were a little more diverse between Monty and Gibbs last week because it was they were trailing the whole game. I'd give Monty the edge here for that reason. Travis Hunter, who's supposed to play more defense today, per the coach, last week they played him more on offense. This week with Chase and Higgins, they're going to be playing him more on defense. So I don't know what it does for his offensive snaps. In the 6 for 33 last week, it was decent, but he's not going to get 6 catches. He did very little with it. Keenan Allen is always hard to sit now because we know if they're going to keep throwing at almost a 65% rate of non-quarterback runs to passes, Allen, and we know Justin Herbert loves him, so he's going to get his targets. And then Pickens, Pickens had the 3 for 30, but he had DPI, was targeted in the end zone. This matchup is way easier. Even if Dallas doesn't throw a ton, Pickens will be involved. I would say Travis Hunter here. Yeah, I would say if he's going to play more defense, and again, we don't know what it's really going to be, but if that's what the coach is saying, that's going to scale back on offense, and I don't want to take that chance. If he only plays, 25, 30 offensive snaps, that's a problem. Delroy, Mayfield, or Lawrence. Ooh, that's tough because Mayfield, no left tackle. They're facing a wicked Houston defense at home with the pass rush and the corners. Trevor Lawrence, though, we saw last week, still making the mistakes, still looking off his plays too quick and making poor decisions, but he has a much easier matchup, and it's a game they probably got to score some points. Mayfield finds a way to get something done, it seems, but I think that game's low scoring. So there's a trust your gut one because it's really hard for me to endorse Lawrence, but I think Lawrence is going to be chasing points, and he could throw 3 picks, right? But I do think Lawrence is the more favorable scoring environment. But if you feel nervous about both, then just know Mayfield just finds a weird way, even in bad spots, of somehow getting it done for fantasy. So there's that. But I would give Lawrence like a 51-49 edge here. PPR flex spot pick 2, Coleman, Tillman, ETN. I love Tillman, but I'm going to sit him this week. because the Baltimore matchup is not a great one. ETN is going to be really hard to sit him right now, especially against Cincinnati. And Coleman, yeah, I think Coleman is going to. It was all I know second half stuff last week, but I really do think he's earning his way into the trust of Josh Allen. So I would tend to think that he's going to have an opportunity. Not really, his size kind of doesn't make me worry so much about the Jets corners. So I do think he's going to have a red zone opportunity, but Tillman is a bad matchup, and I would probably sit Tillman because this could be one of those games where Joe Flacco really, has a problem. Rahendra, yeah, let's see what you got here. You got full point PPR, Daniel Jones or Geno. Well, this is tough because Jones had that week against that pillow soft Miami defense last week, and I think there's a lot of people going to go off there. So, but and now Daniel Jones gets the opposite. He gets Denver, and Denver's a real fast defense, so I don't know that Jones is going to run for much. So that's a problem, and I really don't know how the passing game gets going against that secondary. Whereas Geno's, they're probably have to score some points here. And Ashton Genty was not very good last week. So I think they were willing to let Geno throw. And it looks like Brock Bowers is good to go. And they got Jacoby Myers. They got the two deep threats. I would give Geno Smith the edge here because I think that matchup with Denver is brutal for Daniel Jones. And then 1 of 3, Pacheco, Mason, or Boutte. Mason should have a very, very good floor for you, especially against Atlanta. I think he's going to get a lot of work and he's going to do really well with that. I think your boom bust play is Boutte, Kayshon Boutte. So I think he's your boom bust play because, and I have him at 44 with upside. And if you're just joining in, the green means the rankings are what they are, but the green means added upside. The red or salmon means added downside. So just so you understand what that means. But I do have a Boutte as wide receiver 44 with upside because Miami has nobody in the secondary. Even their one guy, Storm Duck, who's not good as a starter, he's out in this one. So Boutte's your boom bust play. Mason super high floor, and we'll leave Pacheco out of this one because he didn't get enough work last week. Hey, Lee. All right, PPR, Quentin Johnson or Tillman. So I just mentioned Tillman with that Baltimore matchup. I don't really like that, whereas Quentin Johnson, at least he's playing the Raiders, and that's not a bad matchup. And it's going to be hard to know if Johnson's going to keep performing, and we're hoping Herbert's to keep throwing that much. But I give Quentin Johnson the lean here just because Tillman has a bad matchup, but I like Tillman a lot of weeks, but just not so much this one. And then Franklin, Zacchaeus, or Malik Washington. Malik Washington, I just don't know how many snaps he's going to get. And I don't know what Miami's going to come like. I'm like they had a team meeting, but they could implode. Not excited there. Zacchaeus did have a few targets and did well with those last week. Franklin had 4 catches. Between Franklin and Zacchaeus, now, not that it directly impacts Franklin, but Laiatu, the edge rusher, is out for Indy, and they're down a corner, Charvarius Ward. Whereas Zacchaeus is playing like a pretty nasty Detroit secondary. I'd probably give Franklin the edge here, but as you obviously know, this is a real tough group, and you know that going in. So, but based on the injuries to the Denver, to the Indy defense, I would give Franklin a shot there. All right, Brian. All right, good to see you, Brian. Need 2. Swift, Mason, Sampson. I appreciate you recommend. I never remember to ask to hit the like button, so thank you for that. I really appreciate that, Brian. So Mason has a great floor this week. Swift has a brutal matchup. He was very inefficient last week, but he got volume, and there's that. I think Sampson, even though they're playing Baltimore, I think he's going to get some targets, and so I think those are more valuable than the carry Swift is getting. So I would go with Mason and Sampson here. Usually Swift is normally a good volume play, but this is a particularly nasty matchup as Josh Jacobs, but that one good thing got in the end zone last week for sure on that one. All right, we got another super chat here, and then we'll come back to the next Brian. We tell Brian's in here today. All right, we need running back 2, full PPR, Tyler Warren or Travion Henderson. I'm sorry, Jaylen Warren. I think it's an RB2, so you must mean Jaylen Warren. All right, so Jaylen Warren. Oh my God, they say he's the lead back, and then Kenny Gainwell goes out and plays 50% of the snap to 30 something for Warren. So that's a problem. But matchup isn't great against Seattle, but it's not oppressive either. Henderson, like I said, he didn't get enough work last week. So I think they both see similar workloads here. And then Henderson, they're playing Miami. So I think really Warren has a safer floor. He's going to get a few more touches than Henderson, most likely based on what we saw last week. But I think Henderson's your upside play because they're playing Miami. I could see Henderson having a big play or 2, even if it's limited touches. So if you want to go for safe, then Jaylen Warren, because again, you want RB2 there. If you want boom bust, then I think you go with Henderson because I think there is a chance he can have a big play or two today. Brenton Strange or Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, he's a converted wide receiver. He's always been good, but they've never played him much. He only would play about 30-40% of the snaps over the years. And that's why wasn't good for fantasy. He'd get 500 yards in the season, but it was always limited. He played 98, 99% of the snaps last week. So that's the whole game changer for him. And even though they're playing San Francisco, this is going to be a team that has to throw a lot. 46 attempts last week. And it was very clear that Juwan Johnson's right in the top of that mix. I think Johnson has a higher floor than Strange, and I think he has a higher ceiling. So I would go with Juwan Johnson there. All right. And then I had Brian, and next Brian's up. Okay, here we go. All right, Brian, what do you got here? Half PPR, looking for rights on flex. Kenneth Walker, Ricky Pearsall, or TJ Hawkinson. I was worried about Hawkinson before the season started because I know this is a run team. They told us off season they picked up the 3 interior linemen. They picked up Jordan Mason. They want to run the ball. They showed us that last week. And I said the targets would go to Justin Jefferson and everybody else would fight for scraps. And that's kind of what happened with TJ Hawkinson. So I'm a little bit nervous about him. Kenneth Walker was worried about him because defenses don't respect the pass and they're going to load up the box and they're going to say, all right, well, you don't run outside zone. There's no holes for you because we got extra defenders. So Zach Charbonnet runs downhill and makes his own fortune. Walker's going to peck for holes and they're not going to be there. And his snap share was terrible. So I give Ricky Pearsall the edge here because A, New Orleans is not a tough matchup. B, I know Mac Jones isn't a world beater, but he can deliver the ball. He asked Brian Thomas Jr. about that one. So I do think based on their options, and Juwan Jennings, if he plays, he's going to be limited with a shoulder. So I think Pearsall has to get volume here. I give Pearsall the edge. Chris, good morning. Need a running back 2 and a flex between Pollard, Henderson, and Ibuka. All right, so Pollard's in for sure. Pollard, even in a bad matchup, got it done last week. Pollard's a very good running back. The left tackle being out, probably not a massive deal. Played with behind a bad line last year. Ibuka gets me nervous here because it's a nasty matchup. Tristan Wirfs, left tackle's out. That pass rush from Houston is going to be a problem for Baker Mayfield. The corners are going to be difficult, and I think it's a low-scoring game. I think Henderson has a similar floor to Ibuka. I think this week particularly, I think Henderson has a higher ceiling because of his matchup. So playing Miami. So I reluctantly would bench Ibuka. It's tough to do that. If your gut says Ibuka over Henderson, I get it. Pollard's got to play, I think. Dak or May, 6 points passing touchdown. Don't like what I saw out of the New England offense. May had a lot of yardage, but man, they threw a ton of pass attempts. I imagine the game at Miami, they're going to have a lead or they're not going to have to throw heavy in this one. So the same kind of goes for Dak, but I think Dallas will throw enough. And 6 point per passing touchdown, that kind of gives me the edge. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott here. And then you need a tight end replacement for Kittle until he returns. Juwan Johnson or Hunter Henry today for you heard me talking about Juwan Johnson a couple minutes ago. I do think he has to be a part of this offense. He's getting snap share for the first time in his career 1 week, but I always thought this season they have to use him. They don't have any wide receiver depth. It's 2 of them and can't trust Brandon Cooks. So I think Juwan Johnson's kind of the guy. Henry, it was a high volume passing attack for New England last week. And it was targets to Booty, it was targets to Diggs, to Mario Douglas, and they all had targets. But I think that may not be sustainable. And I love Hunter Henry as that great floor. But I think Juwan Johnson's your play. And with the 49ers, it's like Fred Warner doesn't like just jump on the tight end all day like he used to a few years back. Now it's just like sometimes he'll see him. So I don't think that's a particular issue. Kevin, morning to you as well. Happy Sunday. You probably come back with a question. Here you go. Let's see. And you got Monty, Mason, Warren, Waddle, Smith, Diggs. You need 2 of them. All right, let's see here. So I would recommend. So I think Mason has an excellent floor. And in the Monty matchup, I think he has a good floor as well. But I would kind of like move a little bit toward Devontae Smith here. Dallas Goedert's out. Kevin Patullo's the offensive coordinator. I don't know how much he'll do of what they did last year. But what was smart last year was Smith played a lot of slot. And if he gets in the slot in this particular game, Chamari Connor is probably going to be in the slot a lot for Kansas City, and that's an easy matchup. And with no Goddard, middle of the field might belong to Smith. So I would go with Mason and Smith if it were me. Monty does have a good floor in this one, but I know Smith comes off that lousy game. But those are the 2 I'd go with. Oh, yeah, I had one ahead of you then. Rahendra. Good morning again, Rahendra. Waddle, Hollywood Brown, McMillan, or Ibuka, and you need one of those four. Waddle right now, until I'd like to say I don't trust him right now. After last week, it looked like last year, so I'm gonna just I can't really take a chance on him right now. Hollywood Brown has probably the biggest ceiling of this group. We saw 16 targets last week, and he did well with those. Philly does have some safety issues. They have an issue with one corner. I don't think they put Quinion Mitchell to shadow him, and they'll move Brown around anyway, so I don't even think that's an option. So Brown is the highest ceiling of them. I did throw shade on McMillan earlier, but I do think he has the highest floor of this group, though. I think it's a pretty stable floor because as bad as Bryce Young is, McMillan's going to have a floor. Ibuka, you heard me talk about his matchup a minute ago, that it's just bad matchup for Tampa. So if you want to go for some ceiling here, I'd go with Hollywood Brown. If you just want safe floor, then it'd be McMillan for me. Kevin, we got you. Next one, McCarthy or Fields. McCarthy had a great rookie first game performance, second year rookie, but I can't compare him with Fields. Fields is going to run. It seems like a way of life. He is going to run. I think Fields is like a top 6 quarterback, because with what we saw last week, yeah, he's a top 6 quarterback. So I really wouldn't bench Fields for another like universal top 7, top 8 option. But I can't pull the trigger on benching Fields right now. I got another super chat here, then I'll come back with Chris. All right, let me see. Would I trade Ridley for Devontae Smith and Pickens? If you're getting Smith and Pickens, this is an ultimate take advantage of Smith coming off the low game, Pickens coming off the low games, because they are both going to be over 1,000 yards this year. Ridley probably finish the season as a third of those 3. So if you're getting Smith and Pickens in a heartbeat, I would run to hit that accept button. Would run to do that. Now, the other side of it, no. I mean, so the Smith Pickens side, that is a dominant side in that trade, in my opinion. All right. And let's see where I left off at here. I think I left off on Tracy or Jordan Mason. I'm going to go Jordan Mason here. Tracy looks like the second half of last year running back, which that was not very efficient. And Jordan Mason looks like he'd be a beast in that offense. And an Atlanta matchup, in my mind, that's Minnesota could take advantage of that. I'm going to go Jordan Mason there. All right, Rodney, what do you got here? You got Judy, Waddle, Booty, Shakir, or Quentin Johnston. Looks like you might mean POT. Yeah, I don't know what POT means. All right, so let's see here. You need 2 of these. Judy has a rough matchup. He had little dropsies last week too. Waddle right now a little bit interesting with him. Hold on, just checking. Okay. Saw the tweet about Quinshon Judkins gonna obviously play, but not limited today. So Booty has an easy matchup. I don't know how much they throw, but he is their clear outside receiver. So I think he earns a spot in this lineup. I think Shakir works here too. I think the slot against the Jets is favorable. So I would go Booty and Shakir. But if you want to go for big upside, Shakir has a high floor, should be real stable here. If you want to shoot for upside against the Raiders, and Quentin Johnston be in there, but I would probably just trust Booty and Shakir in this one. Judy, most weeks I would have had him in there, but against the Ravens, probably don't want to push that issue too much. All right, Brees Hall, Tony Pollard, Tyrone Tracy. In my mind, there's no question. Tyrone Tracy looked like, again, you just heard me say a minute ago, so he looks like the last year second half back. Don't trust him against any good running back, and you've got 2 very good running backs. So sit Tracy. Ferguson, Henry, and Njoku, pick one. You know what? I'm going to give Ferguson the edge here. The Giants are not good against the tight end, and we know Prescott will lean on the tight end. I think he has better touchdown upside than Henry and Njoku. They're all close, though. Good morning to you, Easy Goer. I appreciate that. That's funny. I like it. You have an urge to start Boutte and sit Pearsall and Garrett Wilson. And believe me, I understand, but I don't know that I would sit Pearsall. He's like the only game in town, and I think New Orleans is not a team that could probably stop him. And Mac Jones is good enough to get him the ball. So I imagine he has enough of Shanahan's system to be able to figure that out. And Garrett Wilson, it's going to be hard to sit him down. Remember that DJ Moore at 1360 and 8 with Justin Fields a couple of years ago. And Garrett Wilson in week 1, he's been double teamed his whole career. He's had bad quarterbacks his whole career, and yet he gets it done. And I think that chemistry is there. So I love Booty, but everybody loves Booty. but no, I think Booty got to sit in this one. You have 2 really good options. So and maybe Booty goes off, but I just don't think it's worth the gamble because I think Pearsall and Wilson have better, safer floors with similar upside. All right. Oh, I got another super chat. Hang on. Oh, you know what? J Dubs, you gave thank you for doing, but you didn't put a question with that. And then John, I see the same thing. Appreciate both of you, but like see how John like attached a question to his earlier, and Kyle attached questions. If you attach a question, I can get to those. Okay. All right. Let's see where I'm at here. I was on. Give me a second, and then all right, we had Big Meech. Hollywood Brown or Keenan Allen? You know what? I am going to give Hollywood Brown the edge here. I do think they both see similar target ranges. I think the issue is at safety in one corner spot for Philly. You can take advantage of that. It's possible that the Chargers might run a little more than they did last week. I give Hollywood Brown the edge. They're both good plays. Charbonnet or Monty? You know what? Because of the matchup with the Bears, I do like Monty a little bit better here. I think that they can take advantage, even with the new interior line. I think they can get to the Bears a little bit. I think the game script is more favorable for them too. Big Meech, Keon Coleman, Odunze, or Hollywood. That's a tough one. That's a good problem to have. I think Hollywood has the chance of getting the most targets of this group. I do like Keon Coleman this week, but he'll have some times where the cornerback matchup isn't great. Odunze, liked what I saw last week, and they did use him in the end zone. So I think based on the matchup though, and I hate to sit Odunze because I think Odunze is a star in this league, but I think Hollywood's going to see 8+ targets, and they're from Mahomes, and I think he can get some things going. So if your gut says Odunze, start Odunze, but I'm going to go with Hollywood on that one. That Detroit matchup could be a little problematic for the Bears. Henry, start 2, full PPR. Pollard, Hampton, Jones, Mason, Kenneth Walker. Pollard for me is like kind of in because he has shown that even last year, when the situation around is bad, he's a very, very productive back. So I roll with Tony Pollard. Just the floor is high and he can always get in the end zone too. Next one's tough. Is Hampton or Mason for me? Mason, they're both going to get grinder carries. They both would likely get red zone looks if that happened. Didn't like Hampton's workload because they threw so much last week. Mason had a better workload. I think right now, today, Mason's safer. I think Hampton would have more upside than Mason because if they do decide to get him going, he can get going and break a big play or two. So I think the safe one, you go Pollard and then go Mason for safety. But if you want to swing for a little more upside, I think Hampton would be the upside play. Okay, let's see. I got super chats here. Brent. Okay. Full PPR. Tracy, Pacheco, or Chubb. Oh man, Pacheco had 5 catches and 5 rushes and 3 targets last week. Tracy looked terrible. Dallas defense didn't look as bad as the left tackle. Andrew Thomas is out. Nick Chubb, he did well last week, but they're playing Vita Vea and the boys this week, so that doesn't lend itself. And he's probably not going to catch passes. I think that said, of these 3, Tracy likely gets the most volume. So I'm going to have to give Tracy the edge on the volume call. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. And for me to say no to Nick Chubb, I got to believe that because I love Nick Chubb. I think he's the stuff. All right, let's see where we're at here now. John, let me see if I got your question. All right, Pearsall or Evans? Always tough to sit Evans, right? Probably see quite a bit of Darryl Stingley, that pass rush. No Tristan Wirfs. I don't know how much downfield passing gets going. Last week was disappointing. Abuka was more productive than Evans. Pearsall's like the only game in town. He has Mac Jones. We don't know if Trent Williams is going to play. That inactives are coming out soon. This is very close to call. I'm going to give Evans a 51-49 edge because I think his chances to score a touchdown are a little bit higher. Half PPR also gives Evans a little bit of that slight edge over Pearsall, who could pile up a couple extra catches, but maybe not do what Evans is able to do on those. It's a super close call. And then Abuka or A.J. Brown, I do think this is, even if Brown didn't complain, I think it's more like a squeaky wheel week. I think that A.J. Brown's going to get the ball here. Abuka, it's a nightmarish matchup. So as I just talked about Mike Evans. So I would go to A.J. Brown and for not getting one target. I think they have to fix that. I think they know they have to fix that. Oh, I got another super chat, Jay. Hang on, I'll come back to you in a minute. And then Fabian, you need two. Walker, Charbonnet, Mason, or Tillman. Jordan Mason for floor. I love him there. And look, Charbonnet at 58% of the snaps over Walker last week. I think is the decisive runner. I think he's going to end up fitting better. So I'm going to go with Mason and Charbonnet. Tillman, like I said, I love him, but the matchup I just think against Baltimore is not one that I'm looking to attack. It could be a rough week for Joe Flacco. Oh, and Jay Red, I was on you. I backed up one. Let me see here again. Oh, I got another super chat then. Let me get Jay, then I'll get a super chat. Or did I answer this? No, I didn't answer. All right, Jay, appreciate you. Pearsall, Warren, Waddle, Coleman, Quentin Johnston. Okay. And you need a wide receiver and a flex. All right. Again, we talked about Pearsall earlier with Evans, but I think Pearsall is a solid floor play in and of himself. And so if you want a floor play for your second one, I think Warren is your floor play. But I think the boom bust play, if you got to really shoot for upside and risk, if you're an underdog, then Quentin Johnson would be the boom bust play. I think Coleman, he'll have on and off snaps at a bad matchup. Waddle, it was Miami. It looks like they were imploding before our eyes. So if that keeps up, Waddle could go off. But based on what I saw last week, I can't recently make that prediction. So it's gonna be Pearsall, Warren for floor, but Quentin Johnston for the boom bust play. We got another super chat here, and then I'll come back and I'll be looking back for Jay Red again. All right. Julian, London, Garrett Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, full PPR. All right. So I got another one here too. But all right. So I will rank these three because I don't know how many you need. So London is apparently healthy. It's a bad matchup, but the corners are not good on Minnesota. Their rush scheme is really nice, but 15 targets for London, and he's off the injury report. So I put London number one. I got to put Garrett Wilson number two because, again, we saw the targets, and I keep pointing out to people Justin Fields has done this before. He did it with DJ Moore, so he can feed an alpha. And then I'll make Ricky Pearsall third, again, playing with Mac Jones. That's, so yeah, I'm going to have to go London 1, Wilson 2, Pearsall 3. And then, Gael, we got you here. Probably need to be looking for reassurance. I would love that. Tyreek Hill on your flex. Have concerns and want to see if you think either are better starts. Harvey, Warren, Strange, or Kenneth Walker. So Tyreek Hill was 4 for 40 last week. He was angry on the sidelines. And this is a moment away from totally imploding on him because he's lost a little bit. He's been angry since last year. I don't think there's a boom game. I just don't think there's a boom game. I think Tua was really, really struggling last week. And I don't know what it was, but I think it's just toxicity around that team. So now Harvey only played 30% of the snaps. So I don't think you can count on that 50-yard run. Kenneth Walker, his snap share was tiny last week. And I think that might be a sign of things coming. You got to wait to see more before you trust him. If you want a safe floor play, Jaylen Warren should get you about 14 touches in this game. And the matchup isn't oppressive. They can do okay in this matchup, but it's not horrible to keep Hill in because he has at least a little bit of floor. But if he implodes, I could just see him like sulking, and then I could see him storming off the sidelines. I could see a whole lot of bad scenarios here. But of these choices, Hill's not a terrible start. But the best floor play is Warren of those, I think. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, caught up on the super chat, and I think I'm on Jay Red now. All right, and then Jay. Mayfield or May. You heard me say earlier that matchup for Baker Mayfield, and he's gotten it done a lot in the past, but that was like with Liam Cohen. The matchup's horrible. And no Tristan Wirfs, and Houston's going to really bring a lot of heat, and they got great corners. I would probably go Drake May here. I think Drake May's going to run for some yards, not that Baker might too, but I would probably give Drake May the edge. And I have him ranked out here. I have May at 11 and I have Mayfield at 12 with the downside marker. So my rankings kind of support that as well. All right, see what we got here. And then we got let me make sure I have all the super chats. I do. It looks like I'm caught up on super chat. Good there. All right. All right. And then the thing always clicks. Oh, here we go. All right. Bogrand. More than you as well. Mayfield or McCarthy. So I got McCarthy 19 with upside, and I got Mayfield 12 with downside. Minnesota, they want to run the ball. I know that's what they want to do. They want to run the ball. And if they get a lead, they'll do that. But Mayfield has a brutal matchup. Mayfield will run for something. So there's that. Jair Alexander looks like he's inactive. He's got a message through there. Not that shouldn't be a massive deal for the Cleveland offense. So that one is a coin toss, but I would Mayfield has just found a weird way to get it done. So I think Mayfield has a safer floor, but I don't think he has a big ceiling here. So if you look at Minnesota Atlanta game happens to shoot out, then McCarthy has real upside. So but again, if they don't need him, I know that they're going to push the issue. So if you want the solid floor play, you want like 15, 17 points. I think Mayfield gets that for you. But if you need to get in the 20s in that range, I think you got to take the boom bust shot on McCarthy to see if they have to air it out a bit because the matchup is good. So there's definitely that. Make sure I'm caught up on Super Chat. Okay, good. All right. And now I'm on John. Full PPR, Tracy, Montgomery, or Dobbins. Dobbins played about 50% of the snaps. He is the lead back there. And but he on passing down was like Bidet comes in. That's kind of weird. I don't understand that one. But the matchup is actually pretty good for J.K. Dobbins this week. I have as my running back 19. Indy, Latu, their edge rushers out. They're down a corner. That means they're going to have to mask some things. And I think overall the defense is decent, but I don't think it's great. So I think Dobbins is in a good spot. Montgomery's close, but I think Dobbins has more work. He has more work potential. And I think that Sean Payton wants to fix that run pass balance because he was way off on it last week. I give Dobbins the edge here, especially while he's healthy. All right. Next one. Good morning to you as well. Full PPR, Pittman or Shakir. So Michael Pittman, let me just take a look at him a second here. I'm trying to remember something about his matchup. He probably sees a good deal of Patrick Surtain. I don't know how often he'll see him, but that's a rough one. And Daniel Jones is going to be under a lot of pressure. That's going to be a rough one for him. I think Shakir has a favorable matchup in the slot against the Jets. So much as I love Pittman's 9 targets, I'm going to give Shakir the edge here. And like you said, afraid of Surtain from, and even if it's half the snaps that he sees him, it's going to put a dent in him because I don't think Pittman's that guy. He's going to win. And I'm more worried about Daniel Jones being under pressure too. Bird, you asked what the guys are thinking. That means you don't want Mike. Well, I'll answer for you anyway. Steelers defense or Pats defense? You know what? The Steelers are playing Sam Darnold, right? So I think that's enough for me. So I would go with that because Sam Darnold is going to have a whole lot of problems. So that's the way I'd go with that. I got another super chat. Hang on. Then John, 2, Charbonnet, Pacheco, Shaheed. So again, I'm buying what Charbonnet did from a volume perspective last week, 58% of stuff. I think that's going to probably stick. So I'm going to go with him here. Pacheco only had 5 carries and 3 catches, and he split evenly with Hunt. The snaps weren't split, but the work was. So that's tough. Shaheed has a baseline of targets. So I think Charbonnet and Shaheed are slightly safer than Pacheco. I think the upside is about the same. So that's the way I would roll with that. And, like last week, Philly gave up a lot to Dallas on the ground. But remember, Jalen Carter didn't play. So I think that was a big deal there. So I would go that route. Jack Conklin, tackle with his eye injury, is out for the Browns. That is a further knock on Joe Flacco here against Baltimore. So understand. And I've been kind of fading Tillman, is what I love this week because of that. And other reasons, bad matchup. All right, let's see where I was at the question wise here. All right, we're on J Dubs. See how we're doing on questions. Oh, I got the spam stuff I see here. Let me just get that one out of here. And their comments. They come in every week with this garbage. All right, let's see if they come back with the questions now. All right, let me scroll back down here and find my place. This is always tough. I got to scroll through and find. There we go. J Dubs for here. All right, Dak or Fields. Somebody had that same question. It's a good question to have. I have both of these quarterbacks. So I'm playing Fields over Dak this week. The Pittsburgh limited his rushing to 48 yards, but Pittsburgh limits Lamar as a runner. So I think that Fields going to keep running here, and I'm gonna go with that. Dak may not have the game script. We want Dak in those games where Dallas is going to trail, and the Giants put them in that spot. I like Fields there. J-Mo or Hollywood. I think Hollywood has a higher floor of targets here, especially with Worthy and Rice out. So I would lean, and then remember they have safety issues and second cornerback issues in Philly. So I think I'd go that route. All right. Intrepid. There we go. Tight end Fannin or Juwan Johnson. Again, Juwan Johnson played 99% of the snaps this week. Fred Warner doesn't like blanket tight ends anymore. They let him play his role. And if it happens to be there, it's there. So I think Juwan Johnson is a big part of this game. I believe they're going to have to pass, even though the 49ers are all kinds of banged up, I think they're still going to throw frequently. So I give Juwan Johnson the edge here. Fannin is a tough matchup. Last week he had a cake matchup against Cincy. Baltimore is quite the opposite of that. NBA, happy football Sunday. Tormenting Caleb and Bo Nix this week. Yeah. I know Ben Johnson will have some plays dialed up for Caleb Williams that'll take advantage of the personnel on Detroit. I know that he'll have that set up, and he has weapons for sure. Bo Nix, 40 attempts, did not like what I saw last week. Now he does have an advantage that Charvarius wore the corners out, Latu, the edge rushers out. That gives him a little break. But I think Denver's going to come in. I think they learned from some mistakes that almost cost them. I think they're going to run the ball a lot more here. And Caleb Williams looked good as a runner last week. And I think that's a real good benefit of his game. I'm going to give Caleb Williams the edge. I have Williams my quarterback 10. I have Bo Nix as my 13. All right, see what we got here. We got Brandon next. Pearsall, Dobbins, Ken Walker. Again, Pearsall has Mac Jones as his quarterback. And let me just see if I can find out about the inactive on Trent Williams. I haven't seen anything yet. See if anything comes out on that yet. Juwan Jennings is active. You may need to know that. And you know what? I do not see Trent Williams on the inactive list. So that's a big deal for for the San Francisco offense. So that does help here. So, but J.K. Dobbins should have a high floor. 50% of the snaps this week. And I do think that Denver's going to get him more involved. As I just said, the Bo Nix question. I think Dobbins has the highest floor of this group. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to stick with that because I don't know that New Orleans San Francisco game has a lot of points. So Pearsall might not be needed to have a ton of targets here, although he is their only game in town. I give Dobbins an edge. Maybe Pearsall has more upside for that one. All right. Bill, TD heavy scoring with yardage points. One spot to fill. Pacheco, Coleman, Jordan, Mason. I'm going to go Mason. I think this is a great week for him to get in the end zone, and he's getting a lot of work. And he's definitely their interior runner, and they have a tactical advantage on Atlanta here. I give Mason the edge here for work. Coleman a little bit tougher of a match, but love Coleman too. But John, good last week. So I hope it worked out. I always try to remember some of the calls I make, and I root more for the calls I make for you guys than I make for myself. Try to get these right as often. I know we're going to get a lot wrong too, but we try our best, right? Quarterback Dak or Drake May. So I have Dak as my quarterback 6, Drake May as my quarterback 11. I think New England might have a little more run heavy of a script in this game. In my mind, Miami's kind of imploded. And maybe they aren't, but I believe they have. And if that's the case, I don't think they have to air it out. So Quinshon Judkins is active. Everybody, he's probably. I already had read from a reporter and they dialed in there that he's going to get like backup snaps this week because he gets ramped up. So I think you're looking maybe 5 or 6 carries. So he probably is not a recommended play this week, but soon. But I do like Dak Prescott over Drake May, John. Michael, more than you need a high upside. Krosky Merritt. Yeah, it's a rough one. I get it. 12 PPR. All right. Neighbors, and you need 2 between Harrison, Ibuka, Max Myers, TIA. I don't know what the TIA is. Anyway, so what I'll say is this. Harrison does have a really good matchup. I know J.C. Horn will be on him a bit, but I don't think it's going to be like a shadow situation. And Harrison at least showed out. I still think they're using him deep too much, but that's another story for another day. I think Harrison's your upside play because I think he could find the end zone multiple times here. It's possible. They did target him in the end zone. They made a concerted effort. I think that's a big one here. And you know what? I'm gonna go with Myers as the second one because Myers gets targets. He hogs targets, and we saw it last week. And I think that continues. And his matchup against the Chargers, I don't think it's anything impressive. They're good secondary, but it's not a shutdown secondary. I think they're gonna have to score. T-Mac's great. And if you want to use T-Mac, just trust your gut and put him in. But Bryce Young, 154 yards last week. I mean, he's terrible. That's my problem. My problem is the quarterback. It's not the receiver. That kid's great, T-Mac. Ibuka, again, terrible matchup. It's just the Texans, the pass rush, no left tackle. He's out. Tristan Wirfs is out. That's a problem. Scott, standard scoring. You need 2 of these guys, Hubbard, Sutton, Pearsall, Quentin Johnson, Keon Coleman. Man, Sutton just gets it done. And what's nice for Sutton is that Charvarius Ward's out now. Not that he would have shattered anything, but that's one less corner they have, and that's a good corner to have out for Sutton. So I do like Sutton here, and I like Hubbard. Hubbard is a high floor play. You saw last week, got the garbage time touchdown, all counts. And he's going to be heavily involved. They use him as a runner. They use him as a receiver. I think Sutton just right now it's going to be hard to sit Sutton. And I know they might not throw a lot in this game, but Sutton is like so much Bo Nix's guy. So I think you go with that. Like I said, if you want to I think Sutton has a high floor and a reasonable ceiling. If you got to swing for the fence hard, then I think maybe you would consider taking a shot at Pearsall, but I don't think that game's high scoring either. So I would just kind of go with Hubbard and Sutton and call it a day. Got a super chat here. All right, let's see what we got here. Wishy 3, quarterback, Hurts or Herbert? And then, all right, so Jalen Hurts, I know Kansas City has had some answers, but Kansas City showed us a Super Bowl. They want to try to take away Saquon Barkley. And remember, in that Super Bowl, Hurts is still limited. He was still limited with an injury. So I think Hurts is in a good spot. I think they're going to go throw, and I think they're going to have some success. I think they're going to isolate Chamari Connor a lot, bad corner. Herbert, love what I saw last week. But I think Jalen Hurts is that guy. He can always run for 2 touchdowns. His floor is so high. I think that's the difference. The floor with Hurts is why you drafted him high. So I think you keep going with that, because Herbert's going to have volatilities here. If they get a lead and they run, they might flip the script this week. They didn't last week, but that doesn't mean they won't. So I think we got to see them, the Chargers, in another game with positive game script, keep throwing the ball. And if they keep that, then we know it's the case all year. But they were playing Kansas City, and there's some ghosts in that closet there. So I go with Hurts. And then Smith or Coleman, I like Smith here because I know Dallas Goedert. I can't tell you Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinators, will do things the way they did last year, but Smith will get in the slot quite a bit. And if he does, he has the best matchup here. Again, Chamari Connor will be there frequently, and that's a great matchup. And with no Goddard, I think that's extra targets for DeVonta Smith. So I do like Hurts and Smith there. Coleman had a great week, and I think he's going to be a fabulous player for you. But don't necessarily think the Jets matchup is the best in the world for him. All right, let's see what we got here. We got bike walkers next. By the way, everybody, we'll have James Koh be coming in maybe a half an hour or so, and James will come over and take up the rest of the questions after I'm out of here. So but that'll be exciting to see James in here. James always does a great job too. All right, let me check their inactives real quick. We know the Steelers are down 3 defensive starters. You knew that. Chase Young, the edge out for New Orleans, is good for Mac Jones. Let's see. Nothing's interesting in the Bears or slot corner. Kyler Gordon's out as expected. I said Jack Conklin, right tackle for the Browns, is out. That is significant against Baltimore. I think it is. Yeah, nothing else. Taylor Decker is active left tackle for the Lions. That's good. Jaden Blue is inactive again, so that's kind of a bit of a problem. So that could be something that they're having an issue with in terms of maybe could be pass protection, it could be assignments, but that's not good. That's not good. All right, bike walkers, it's up to you as well. Full PPR. You need a running back. Walker, Charbonnet, Pacheco, Sampson. Your full PPR. I think Sampson gets a number of catches here. I think Charbonnet has the highest floor of this group, though. I think Charbonnet got 58% of snaps this week. I think it's kind of the same here. He's the one that kind of makes his own fortune. Walker's going to look for holes that aren't there, but Charbonnet will get downhill and get aggressive. Pacheco only had 5 carries and 3 short catches last week. So I with Hunt getting exact amount of touches, I can't sign off on Pacheco just yet. Sampson's your boom bust play because look, Sampson got 8 passes last week. It is very possible that we see Flacco dumping it off if Baltimore starts setting some pressure. So he could have quite a bit. And Judkins is probably only getting a few touches here. So I say Charbonnet's your safe play and Sampson's your boom bust play. Could you drop Jennings or Mooney? It all depends about your roster. If you're picking up a player that you're going to be starting, I would probably be more inclined to drop Mooney over Jennings. I think Jennings, as he gets healthier, is going to be a fundamental part of the offense, especially with Kittle down for a few more weeks. Mooney, his targets dropped with Penix last year. They went to an approach where it was like all Drake London and all Bijan Robinson, and then Mooney dropped from 7.5 targets to 5 a game. That was significant. So, yeah, I would probably go with that. Laura and Jim Cooperman in PPR, you need a flex. Tillman, Chubb, Smith, Schuster, or Hunt. Oh man, yeah, that's a tough one here, right? Tillman is a bad matchup, and the right tackle's out, so a little more pressure on Flacco. Chubb has a kind of nasty matchup. Tampa looked really good against the run last week. Vita Vea looked good. Smith, Schuster, you never know what he's going to see target wise, but you do know he's in the mix. So he's going to get. He might have a 3-catch floor. The ceiling might be 5, but is a 3-catch floor probably. Hunt had 5 carries, but he did nothing with them. 3 catches, did very little with that. He's kind of hard. So I think what I would say is this: the most volume probably goes to Chubb, but I don't know how much he does with it. If he doesn't score a touchdown, you're probably looking at 35 yards, maybe 45 yards. So that's not much. So I guess of the low floors, Chubb probably has it. I guess I'd say this: Tillman might be your boom bust play. He is a bad matchup, but he is the downfield guy. So I'll say that in this particular group you have, I would say Tillman's the boom bust play, and Chubb might be the floor play. Smith Schuster, it's really hard to count on him because I could see him just blocking. He's a really good blocker, and they might just do that. So to say he's the 3-catch floor, maybe it's not that. So I'd probably backtrack on that and say, yeah, I'm going to stick with Chubb is the moderate floor. Tillman is a boom bust. Ethan, good morning to you as well. Pick 2, Swift, Hubbard, Garrett Wilson. Swift got touches, but he was really inefficient last week. And this is Detroit's brutal against the run. So I'm going to go with Hubbard and Garrett Wilson here. Ethan, Ingram or Juwan Johnson. So Ingram's apparently good from the calf injury. They did throw 40 times last week, but I think Sean Payton's comments kind of indicated he realized he messed up. They need to run more. And I think they're in this game. They're going to be close enough where they don't trail at all. So I think they're going to be able to run more. Juwan Johnson, again, there'll be snaps when he sees Fred Warner, but I don't think it's going to be a shadow situation. Johnson played 98% of the snaps last week. I don't know they throw 46 times, so they might throw 35. And I think Johnson's like at 7-8 targets. I think Juwan Johnson is a part of that offense because he's never gotten snaps and finally did. So Ingram, I know you drafted him and you expected something, but if that calf is an issue and there's a setback, that could be a problem. So I would just take it easy with Juwan Johnson here and call it a day. Ethan, Pittman, Tillman, Benson, Sampson, Judkins, Braylon, Allen. I don't like Pittman's matchup, but I think among this group, I think it's really hard to sit him. I don't think Surtain shadows him. I don't think that's the case. I think Pittman will have about half of his snaps. Maybe Riley Moss. I think Pittman, of those, you got to go with him. It's really hard. So for the second one, I think Sampson probably has the best floor in PPR because they're going to have to dump the ball off. And I think with the 8 catches, I think he can get 4 or 5 in this one. So he's your second floor. Your boom bust over Sampson be Tillman in case he gets that big touchdown, which he can do. Jay speaks. Do you sit Tyreek and play DJ Moore, Keon Coleman? Yeah. You know what? Again, 4 for 40 for Tyreek, but he was angry on the sideline. They had a team meeting, but I doubt Tyreek. He's been out on them since the last snap of last year. So I think right now you got to do it. And DJ Moore's your guy. DJ Moore, he got missed by Caleb a couple times. It could have been a much bigger game, but it still wasn't bad. I mean, he still got you just about 10 PPR points, and that was a horrible matchup. Ben Johnson is going to he's going to know how to attack this defense, and Moore is going to be schemed up here. I'm giving Moore the play here. Terminal sarcasm. Mac Jones or Penix. Man, Penix is going to see a flurry of pressure that he's his 5th career start. The corners are beatable. I'll definitely say that, but man, he is going to be in for a shocker. But then there's Mac Jones, and they want to run as much as they can. Trent Williams is playing, so they're going to run as much as they can. I don't know they want to air it out, and the weapons are really lacking. So I think you got to go. I think you got to go Penix. Wan'Dale Robinson upgrade to active. That's kind of important. Slot corner Deron Bland is out for Dallas. And also left tackle Andrew Thomas is out, which means Dallas can potentially get a little extra pressure, which kind of pushes the slot interior snaps up. Wan'Dale played 60% slot last week. So Wan'Dale's healthy. I had him in a lineup. I think I moved him out because I had another good option. But if you're really scratching for a PPR option, Wan'Dale was 8 targets last week. So he's a good floor play. All right, let me see here. And then in terms of sarcasm, let me see. Got one more here. Shepard or Giddens? Giddens got 12 carries because it was a blowout last week, and I don't know how many carries he's honestly getting otherwise. Maybe 5, but Sterling Shepard is tough to count, and this is a bad matchup. I have to think Giddens gets 5 carries here, and Sterling Shepard. And look, I know he's always hurt and he's over 30, but he's good when he plays. But I just think this matchup is one where I don't know that he gets going here. I think they might have to run more 2 tight end sets here to protect with Wirfs out and Baker going to be in trouble. So I would probably just give Giddens the shot here, and hope some way or another that there's some one way or the other, trailing or leading, there's some garbage time. And that might be it, but that's a tough one. And thanks for the nice words, Terminal Sarcasm. And then I've got another super chat I got to get to here. Oh, I got a couple of them here. It looks like. Oh, these just came. Yeah, these just came in. They all came in at the same time. Good. I didn't miss anybody. All right, Brent Clark. All right, you got last set, Knicks or Dak. So I do like Dak here. I don't know how much Dallas has to pass here with game script, but I know this is a really good matchup. We get the theory of the Giants pass rush, but Dallas might be passing out of advantage and not need, which means it's not pin your ears back. And the Dallas offensive line's retooled enough where it's solid. And that Giants secondary is the corners. The corners are not good. Cordell Flott, he's in trouble today. Knicks, I said earlier, I think that Sean Payton admitted he screwed up last week. They threw 40 times, and it was a horrific offensive performance. I think they're going to run more in this game. So I'm going to go with Dak here. Henderson or Mason. I think Mason is a much safer high floor play. He's going to get a lot of work. This is a good matchup for him. Good chance of finding the end zone. Henderson, the snaps were strongly in favor of Stevenson last week. I think they were talking that the 227-pound back is going to be the lead, and Henderson's a change of pace. So Mason's the higher floor, and I think he has a reasonable ceiling here as well. And Julian, Devontae Smith, Evans, Keenan Allen, pick 2. Oh, man. So this is tough because I want to get Devontae Smith in there, though. Like I said earlier, I think Kevin Patullo will move him in the slot, especially now with Dallas Goedert out. And I do think that's a place to attack Kansas City. So I like Devontae Smith to have a little bounce back from that 313 he had last week. For the second one, it's always tough to sit Mike Evans. It's a terrible matchup. The pass rush is going to be a problem for Baker. The left tackle's out. If I didn't say that already, it could not set up worse. Keenan Allen, we saw last week. He's going to get targets. Justin Herbert has a great chemistry and connection with him. It was 10 targets. He had one more target than Ladd McConkey. So I'll say this. Smith in. Keenan Allen is your high floor play. He has a higher floor than Evans this week. But Evans, we've seen it before. Could he get 2 long touchdowns? Yes. It doesn't matter who he plays. It could happen. So if you want to go with the boom bust play, then Evans is your play. But Keenan Allen, I think, is way safer. I think 5-6 catches is going to be like a normalcy for him until he gets hurt, which he's not hurt now. And then Fabian, Hollywood or Ibuka. So getting back to that matchup, I had mentioned that it's a real bad matchup for Tampa Bay. And Ibuka got 2 touchdowns on limited targets last week, but it's going to be a slog in that game. I think Hollywood has a higher floor in this one. I think their safety issues, second corner issues for Philly, Hollywood could take advantage of that, I think. So I'm going to give Hollywood the edge here. Harvey, Booty, or Palmer. So of these 3, you know what? Harvey played 30% of the snaps last week, and so it was a bit of an issue. James Koh, welcome in.
What's cracking? How's everybody doing?
Get my headphone earbud in here, and I need it now so I can do my job correctly and efficiently. So James, in the middle of answering Fabian's super chat question, he already answered the Hollywood or Ibuka, but it's Harvey, who played 30% of the snaps, Booty, who had the 100-yard game, or Josh Palmer, who was able to get some targets as the game got a little bit wild last week. How do you sit on the Harvey, Booty, or Palmer one?
That one's a tougher one for me. I think I lean a little bit towards Harvey here. The Booty situation to me is really, really interesting because I don't think he's a great player. I don't think he's a natural separator, Jim, but you can't deny the fact that he has some chemistry with Drake May. Drake May was throwing with some real timing and touch, with anticipation to Kayshon Boutte, and a quarterback just would not do that unless he had built up a lot of chemistry and reps with said player. So I think there is something to that, but I think it's Day's game. I am leaning Harvey there.
Yeah, Harvey is solid play, and with Booty, like you said, he has chemistry with Drake May. We saw now. I know the week 18 was with Joe Milton, but he did have a big game with him week 16. He played a lot of snaps last year, and it was some off field issues that he was like regarded at one point as a first round type talent, and then he fell. So it's interesting, but I have quite a few shares of him on my rosters. We'll see how that shakes out. But I think Booty is your swing for defense play. I think if you Harvey.
Oh yeah.
Harvey's your floor play, but Booty's your boom bust guy, and so that kind of works. James, let's go through some inactives together here. All right, let's go through some of these, and we'll kind of get this set up as we transition over. So, Josh Reynolds, the blocking receiver for the Jets, is out, but other than that, the Jets seem pretty set. But here's the thing. Ed Oliver, defensive tackle, their great run stopper, he is out in this one. What does that do for Justin Fields and Breece Hall?
You love this play for Breece Hall, obviously, and Justin Fields, if he has a clean pocket, I think has looked really, really good. And Ed Oliver has been creating, havoc up the middle here for a couple of years now. So I don't know. I like the Jets overall. I really like the usage that the Jets have been, in terms of the deployment of their players too. So I like both. I really like both. And look, I've been saying all offseason that I think the rumors of Breece Hall's demise have been greatly exaggerated. You know what I mean? I think I charted him last year. He looked like a great player, and I think they're using him in more sensible ways this year. And yeah, I have high hopes for Breece, not just this week, but for the entire season as well.
Christian Gonzalez, as expected, the corner for the Patriots, is out. Tyreek Hill, 4 for 40 last week, sulking on the sidelines. Jalen Waddle, 4 for 30, had a little bit of a shoulder ding up. He's off the injury report. What are your thoughts on the receiver duo as people are looking to start and sit these guys?
I want to like Tyreek. I don't think his head's in it. I want to like Jalen Waddle. He's injured.
Right.
Tua, again, I want to like Tua. But he looked absolutely horrific last week. So, yeah, when Tua is not being carried by a fully healthy and fully operational Tyreek Jalen Waddle, he just looks like a guy, So the arm strength is just not there for Tua as well. So there's just not a lot to like, to be honest with you. I mean, you saw the stat of Tyreek Hill not having a 30-yard reception over the past 30 years. You think that's Tyreek? No,
nope.
It's 5 to 10-yard underthrows from Tua Tagovailoa. You know what I mean? Like, so no, I'm staying away from Miami wherever I can. Even Devin Achane, I think, is on high alert. I know he's getting a lot of volume, and he's a very explosive player. But again, running backs in bad offenses tend not to do too well.
And their right tackle, Austin Jackson, not that he was great, but he's on the IR, and now they got to go to another dude who's down the depth chart, and that's not good either. Another one for those looking for some depth or maybe a flex punch today. Wan'Dale Robinson is active. We also know the slot corner for Dallas, Deron Bland, is out. Also, left tackle, Andrew Thomas, he's out, which means potential of getting the ball out quicker. Wan'Dale was getting 8 targets more regularly last year. He got 8 targets again last week. Can somebody look to Wan'Dale in this game as a flex?
I think you'd have to be in some pretty dire straits. Look, I will say this. I think Wan'Dale has a pretty good matchup as well, but it's hard to trust, especially with the quarterback situation going on there in New York. And I'll tell you what, if you are looking at wide receiver and you want a couple of deep sleepers, I think Olamide Zaccheaus is an interesting deep sleeper, and I think Hunter Renfrow is another deep sleeper if you're looking at wide receiver. Arizona gave up a lot of production to the slot last year, and Detroit was literally the worst team in regards to fantasy points allowed to wide receivers lined up in the slot. And as a matter of fact, we saw in week 1, Jim, Jaden Reed got 45 yards and his touchdown while lined up inside. Olamide Zaccheaus, again, I know the Luther Burden bros out there are going to be mad about this, but Zaccheaus for right now is the starting slot receiver for the Chicago Bears. He outsnapped him 28-17. He ran 14 more routes than Luther Burden. And again, the production in terms of the matchup is certainly right there, as Detroit has given up a ton of production inside.
Xavier Worthy looking good per Ian Rappaport to play week 3. So that's just a heads up for everybody. not many other inactives, big deals one here. So let's do a few questions here, James, and I'll pass over to you. But we have Joseph in here, Drake or Dak. And then why don't you take that one and I'll go with the running back one.
Drake and Dak. I think to me, Dak Prescott is a must start. The Giants last year gave up the third most fantasy points on deep passes last year. I think George Pickens is going to get activated, and I think they want to get the bitter taste of Week 1 out of their mouth as well. And overall, even though Philadelphia was down Jalen Carter, I think the offense looked really, really good. So I'm really, really hopeful that in this matchup against the New York Giants, who they basically play very well every single year, I would imagine Dak Prescott to go absolutely off.
All right, and then second part of the question, Joe put a second question. I'm saying this is standard scoring, but JSN or Tracy, look, JSN, I know he won't get 59% of the snap share or the target share every week. That won't, but they have nobody else. Cup is washed. They don't have anybody else. He is going to get 6 or more catches pretty much every week, and he is going to be fine with those catches. Tracy looked like the second half Tyrone Tracy last year. It was an inefficient back. Dallas may not be a great defense, but it's good enough. No brainer to me on that one, JSN. We have a super chat question, so let's get to that one. And let's see, we got her. Yeah, there we start. There you go. All right. And then we got one from John. Dobbins, T-Mac, Devontae Smith, Ibuka, need 2. Half PPR, James. What do you think?
Well, you're definitely starting Ibuka, especially after week number 1. I don't know how you get away from that. Dobbins is an interesting one, but I kind of think I'm leaning towards T-Mac here. Look, I don't think Bryce Young is going to play as poorly as he did there in week 1. And let's be real, both teams, Jacksonville and Carolina, looked really terrible after the weather delay. But I think before that game was humming just a little bit. And I was, Jim, I was so impressed with Tet. I mean, I go back and I watch this guy's film. I'm like, man, this guy, Tet, is the real deal. What is going on? We knew about his downfield ability, but man, his start-stop ability to get open in the intermediate area of the field, I think that's going to play very well to Bryce Young. And yeah, for me, I'm just so impressed with Tet McMillan after week 1 that I think I'm going with the 2 rookies here, Tet and Ibuka.
I'm going to give you, John, something else to think about Devontae Smith. I don't know if Kevin Patullo moves him in the slot, but they did it a lot last year. Chamari Connor sits in the slot. There's no Dallas Goedert, so there's middle-of-the-field targets. It's not going to be Grant Calcaterra. I'll tell you that.
That's a great point.
So I think Devontae Smith could eat in this one. So if I were to go over one of the other 2, just remember, Ibuka, definitely tough corners, no Tristan Wirfs. That pass rush to be in Baker Mayfield's face, just something to consider, like James' answer as always. See if I can find where we left off here now, James. There we go. I think we left off here. Our Schaff, Dynasty, cannot pick up a different tight end, start Fannin, or any chance Bauer is not playing on Monday. James, you heard what I heard. Bauer's practiced yesterday and pretty much a full expectation to play, right?
Right. The coaching staff says they're expecting him to play. I don't know how much we're trusting him. But I mean, it's Brock Bowers. I mean, you spent such a, high draft capital on. I don't know how you sit him down. There can't be another tight end on the waiver wire that is more enticing than Brock Bowers right now. So no, I think we're still going with Bowers.
Yeah, and then Jay Red's got one, a flex and a wide receiver. Pearsall, Jalen Warren, Waddle, Coleman, Quentin Johnston.
Oh, man, this one, I think we're playing Pearsall for sure. Just with the overall volume that is anticipated to go his way. I'm torn on the rest just because they're all very up and down players, Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Warren probably is the highest floor of them. He's probably going to get you 10 to 12 touches, and that gets you something. Boom bust. Look, if they're going to keep throwing with Justin Herbert a million times, even when they're winning, Johnson is the boom bust play where there's potential ceiling, but there's a floor where he drops 2 passes and he's done. So Warren's safe. Johnson's probably your boom bust. And James got Mayfield or May.
Oh, I love May. I do. I love May in this one. I think Miami's defense, or Miami's just team in general, is just in shambles right now. And overall, I think May is in a really, really good spot. He's building some chemistry with his wide receivers. I just, and Jim talked about some of the challenges that Mayfield is looking at this week. May and Mayfield, man. I'm like, all right. I think for me, I'm leaning May right there.
Yeah, and then long questions. My attention span always stinks for these. Got someone wanting to trade for Saquon, trade Barkley for Henry, and Keenan Allen. Should I do it? Barkley for Henry and Allen. So what side do you want in this one? Do you want the Barkley or the Henry and Keenan Allen side?
I think Barkley and Henry are about the same for me, to be honest with you. So if you're also getting Keenan Allen in the mix, that's probably pretty interesting. But that being said, that means you have to drop someone. It's never a 2-for-1, guys, because you do have to drop somebody, right? So, like, who are you dropping? You know, I don't know what Saquon Barkley plus your random bench player looks like in regards to Derrick Henry or Keenan Allen, but I would say they're about the same, to be honest with you.
And then the second part of the question, should I sit JMO for Hollywood Tillman? Does Brown have a higher floor than Williams this week?
I think so. I think he's going to see some volume, and I think we saw some of that there in week 1. I do want to caution people, though, because, listen, Xavier Worthy got knocked out of that game pretty early, and you don't really have a game plan for a guy getting hurt that early. Andy Reid's a master game planner, right? So going to week number 2, it's not going to be it's not going to look like that, I don't think, at all. So I don't know. We'll see. And I know that Xavier Worthy is supposed to be out there. I don't know how much is he going to play. I don't know.
Next week, yeah. Worthy next week, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Worthy's out this week. Sorry about that. So yeah, I probably, first of all, I'm sitting JMO. Let me just put it out there. I'm not a fan of what the deployment looks like right now for JMO with the new OC and everything like that. You've got Isaac Tesla out there running routes as well. And then for me, I think I probably look. I know Baltimore's got a great defense. Tillman, I think, is very, very intriguing. I'm either going Hollywood Brown or Tillman right there.
All right, and then I think we're on the same page. We already said that we both love Dak this week. Is Dak or Bo Nix?
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton fixes and gets more running, but yeah, Dak's elite. So we're gonna go with that. And then next one, full PPR flex, Sampson or Diggs. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, Quinshon Judkins is supposed to be back here for Cleveland, which is going to cut into Sampson's share just a little bit. I love the matchup for Diggs as well, but he's also a part-time player right now because he's recovering from that injury. So I'm a little bit worried about that too. So, man, you talk about, this one's got my brain in a pretzel, man. But I would probably say I'm probably leaning Sampson there. I mean, again, Judkins is supposed to play, but how much? I don't know. I think Sampson still sees 65%.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're probably going to dump the ball off because they're going to send, the Ravens are going to send some pressure and no right tackle Jack Conklin. The pressure's going to get home. This is one of those Flacco games where it's like, I better get rid of the ball. And he might have to. So I'm with you on that one. And then was there a second part of this? It was a tight end question. Juwan Johnson or Ingram? What do you got on that one?
Oh, Juwan Johnson.
Yeah,
he's seeing too much. He's seeing way too much volume.
98% of the snaps last week. We rounded up to 99. It was great. Yeah. Thing of beauty.
Yeah.
Pearsall or Devontae Adams?
Oh God, it feels like such a ridiculous question when you say Devontae Adams or Ricky Pearsall, But if this is just pure PPR, full point PPR, I don't know how you get away from Pearsall just because he's going to see another 8 to 10 targets in this ball game, So I'm probably leaning Pearsall right there.
Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, I had Pearsall ahead of Adams in my rankings, and Adams will get better each week the more chemistry he gets with Stafford. But like you said, I mean, who else did he have to throw the ball to? Mac Jones showed last year he could get the ball to a dude. So Trent Williams is playing.
And by the way, Mac Jones is the perfect Shanahan system quarterback to me.
Right?
I think he's going to be just fine. Like, I'm not worried about Mac Jones catering this offense at all. I think he'll be just fine.
All right, let's see our next one here. We've got Jeff asking, who do I sit? Ibuka, McMillan, or Pearsall? Who do you sit, James Koh?
I think I'm sitting. Am I sitting McMillan? Oh man, that one's tough. I don't know, Jim. Where are you going, man? This one's tough.
Ibuka's got a bad matchup. Like Wirfs is out. That means, man, I tell you what, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter are going to bring some heat. And then they got those corners. And it's not going to be Stingley shadowing. Stingley will probably see Ibuka half the time. And so I probably just say that game might be low scoring. So maybe we'll just move Ibuka to the side for 1 week and hopefully it's all better next time. Disco Dave wants to know, TD heavy league, a flex. He's a flex and a tight end. Jaden Higgins, Juwan Johnson, and Fannin. To me, this one's easy. Who are you sitting?
One flex, one tight end. Oh, you're sitting Jaden Higgins.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not getting work. The other two
No,
are.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really the choice. All right. Need to drop one to move
Judkins.
from an IR spot. So, yeah, move
Yeah.
Judkins from the IR. So, he needs to drop either Jennings or Calvin Austin.
I'm probably dropping Calvin Austin. I know he had a really good week one, but it's a low volume passing attack, and Calvin Austin I think is fine. I don't think he's a needle mover for me. And Juwan Jennings, when he recovers from his injury, I think will be a critical part of this offense moving forward. So I would say Calvin Austin.
Yeah, and it's probably not that close. So, yeah, good on that one. And Richie's next. Who would you start at tight end? Andrews, Loveland, or Kincaid? What I'm going to point out first is until Patrick Ricard and Isaiah Likely are back on the field, which they're not this week, teams are going to play the Ravens differently. The Ravens are going to get those deep looks they got last year when those guys are in because defense have to put more bodies to account for them. So Andrews, until that happens, I'm going to say I love Andrews, but he's out. What are your thoughts? Which one of these are you starting, though? Andrews, Loveland, or Kincaid?
I'm starting Andrews. I mean, again, until, like you said, until we see Likely come back, then I think we move Andrews to the bench. But for right now, and by the way, Lamar loves Andrews. Like he does. He loves this guy, man. You know. So I think for that reason alone, let's go ahead and stick Andrews in there.
Delroy's asking Tillman or Olave. I think this was. I love Tillman, but this is not a good matchup for Tillman. Baltimore is not a good matchup, and the right tackle's down. Olave easy. What do you say?
Yeah, I think so too. Better days are ahead for Chris Olave too. I mean, he's on the field a ton. The target share is there. It's the air yard share is there. It's all there. It's all there for Chris Olave to have a really nice bounce back week. So we'll see.
You know what I say, James? Olave's not hurt today, so you start him today.
Yeah, 100%.
If he's hurt tomorrow, then you don't start him tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's real simple, right?
Right.
Should I trade away Terry McLaurin and Flowers for Drake London?
Yeah. Honestly, I think Terry. Look, I love Terry McLaurin, one of my favorite all-time players, but he does not look like he's got the juice right now. And by the way, again, the fact that Jaden is hurt, I think that also is a big part of this deal too. So yeah, I would say, yeah, if you're getting Drake London, a guy who could legitimately give you 1,600 yards this year, yeah, you're bringing that guy home. And I know Flowers had a great week one. It's very up and down with Zay Flowers, all right, because the passing volume is just not there. So I would say, yeah, if you're moving Scary Terry and Flowers to go get a guy who give you 1,600 yards, for sure, we're doing that move.
Let's do one more together, and I'm going to let you take over, James.
Perfect.
Intrepid wants to know half PPR, one of Travis Hunter, Juwan Johnson, or Kayshon Boutte.
We're playing Travis Hunter of this group.
Are you
yeah, for
worried sure. They said he's going to play a lot of defense today because they're facing Chase and Higgins. Are you worried about that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, because when they say a lot, I always love coaches when they're like, "Oh, we're going to get this guy a lot of work," and it's like it barely moves the needle, right? For that, it's like maybe like instead of what did he play, like 6 snaps on defense? Maybe instead of 6 snaps on defense, maybe he plays 12.
Yes.
You know?
All right.
So yeah, no, I think it'll be fine. And Cincinnati's defense, they stink, so they'll be. I think Hunter's in a good spot.
That can't be understated. Cincy's defense does indeed stink. Everybody, James Koh, you're in great hands. Love James Koh. James, go Rocket today. I will see you. Enjoy the games.
All right, man. You too, bud.
Thanks.
Oh, the great Jim Coventry right there. All right, so okay, so that by the way, Intrepid. That's what a handle you've got. Intrepid Cephalopod. That's amazing, bro. Gail Flores, Jalen, my bet. Okay, John Brown, here we go. John Brown Jr., any relation to the football player, John Brown? Evan Ingram or Dalton Schultz? I am going to lean Dalton Schultz right there. He's in a really good matchup. And they have no bodies left there in Houston. Harrison Bryant, I think, is a really interesting name to watch off the practice squad because I like him. I think he's a good player, and I think he's a good pass catcher. But they're running out of bodies, man. Cade Stover is the 3rd Houston tight end to hit the IR. That's insane. Brevin Jordan, Irv Smith also on IR, and now Cade Stover joining him there. So I think the volume will be there for Dalton Schultz, man. Delroy Scarlett, full PPR, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield. Oh, of course we're going Joe Burrow here. Jim talked about, the tackle being down. Offensive line issues potentially here, and Houston's defense is actually pretty decent. So I will take Joe Burrow. To me, I don't think there's any question. John Moorhead, and I get it. Hey, Delroy, I get it. Like Burrow, from a fantasy perspective, absolutely just gut punched you last week. But we got to trust it, man. We got to trust it. Baker Mayfield had 3 touchdowns. I get it. You know, so I understand the question and I understand the hand wringing. But today we are going with Joe Burrow. John Moorhead, Tet McMillan. By the way, I love that he added the T McMillan part. Chat. I love when you guys add, like full names. You know what I'm saying? Like, I generally understand when I see a McMillan. I'm like, but there have been a lot of McMillans, and my brain starts to think of like, is he talking about like Jalen McMillan? Is he making a mistake? Thinking about, anyways, full names help me considerably and will help me get the questions answered so much faster. Matchups too. If you throw in the matchups, oh my gosh, I will just be firing off questions like crazy. Anyways, throw them in here. John Moorhead, T. McMillan, Dobbins, Devontae Smith, and Ibuka. You need 2 in PPR. I feel like we answered this question. No, I feel like we answered this question. I think I said Tet and Ibuka, and Jim has my gears turning in regards to Devontae Smith because Devontae Smith does have a great matchup. Too. Kansas City, I think, is pretty weak on the inside. And there's going to be some, I don't know. I think there'll be more passing volume this week than last week because, I think Saquon might get a little bit more shut down. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so I think, John, for me, I am going to go, I think I'm still leaning Ibuka and Tet McMillan here. I think I am. I think that's where I'm going. Jay Speaks, PPR, pick 2. Let's see if I can't catch up with the chat here, bro. I'm like an hour behind, but we're going. PPR, Jay Speaks, pick 2, Baker, Goff, McCarthy. Smash the like button. Yeah, hell yeah. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button too, bro. PPR, pick 2, Baker, Goff. Wait, why does PPR matter though? Why does PPR matter? Baker, Goff, or McCarthy. Goff's playing at home. I think he'll have a nice bounce back week. And Baker, I'm a little bit worried about. McCarthy's one of my sleepers this week, man. I really like the McCarthy matchup here. Can I give you guys one stat on McCarthy? Taking on Atlanta. All right. The Falcons gave up 39 rush yards to Baker Mayfield in week number 1, and McCarthy ran for 25 yards in his debut. This is not insignificant. McCarthy, we know, is a mobile quarterback, and if Atlanta is going to be giving up a lot of yards to mobile quarterbacks, that's not an insignificant number. Like if McCarthy gets to 30, 35, 40 rush yards, we're talking almost an extra touchdown. It's worth of production right there. That's not bad. So I do like JJ McCarthy in this one. So if I'm going to take 2, oh my gosh, I know the Baker Goff one has got my brain in a pretzel here a little bit. I'm definitely taking McCarthy. I want to say Goff is better at home, and we're going to trust it. And I think we're going to trust it. I think we are going to trust it. Look, by the way, Goff did see Green Bay in week number 1, and I think Green Bay through 2 weeks has really shown that, they're the real deal defensively. They might be, for sure, they're a top 5 defense in the NFL. They might be the best, though. They might be the best with Micah Parsons. So I'm going to take Goff and McCarthy. John Brown, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall. Oh, Breece Hall. Listen, Javonte's in a wonderful spot. I'm not, for sure. Like, Dallas is going to be leading. It could be, very favorable to the run. They can't stop the run either. But I do not think that he's going to see 80% snap share in week number 2. I would be shocked, bro. I think it's going to be much more 60-40. And so, there will be a slightly less volume, I think, for Javonte Williams. And Breece Hall, he just needs to hit 1 home run, and he's off to the races, man. Okay. Nick Chubb, Juwan Jennings, Cedric Tillman, PPR. Well, we're not playing Juwan Jennings. So it's Nick Chubb or Cedric Tillman. So for me, I'm going to chase the upside. It's a terrible matchup for Cedric Tillman. But Nick Chubb, he's running, but it looks like he's running in sand, man. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say Tillman right there, because I'm going to go chase that upside. He's their deep ball threat. Joe Flacco's still throwing the deep ball pretty well. Let's see if Tillman can't shake loose here a little bit. All right, Julian Ortiz, London or Garrett Wilson. Man, you're going to make me pick between 2 studs like this, bro. Oh, my goodness gracious. This one's tough. This one is very, very tough. The Jets are likely to trail. which would suggest a pass-heavy game script. And by the way, I don't think defensively Buffalo's good. I think they are a little too ripe. I think the defense has gotten a little too old. And I do think that Garrett Wilson is in a really, really good spot. That being said, it's so hard to get away from Drake London, man. Shoot. You know what? I'm just going to say Drake London. I love Garrett Wilson this week too, but I'm going to say London. Give me London. More volume overall. Minnesota, while they're really good against quarterbacks, have been really weak against outside wide receivers. Outside wide receivers have done really well against Minnesota because Minnesota plays this crazy high gambling style defense where Drake London just needs to catch one deep one and he's off. You know what I mean? Vol Maniac. Oh man, I hope you're not Are you a Tennessee Volunteer fan, bro? I feel bad. Can they get over Georgia? They had Georgia on the ropes. Oh my goodness. A happy Sunday to you. I know you're talking to Jim Coventry. That's okay. We'll step in here. PPR League, one running back, Hampton Harvey. We're going Hampton. One wide receiver, Drake London, Ridley, Coleman. We're going Drake London. Tight end, Ferguson or Juwan Johnson. Oh, we're going Juwan Johnson. Too much volume. Flex, any of the above. I'm probably looking at one of those wide receivers right there. I will go with Ridley in the flex. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back week. And then QB Dak or Fields. Oh, we're going Dak. Dude, Dak goes crazy for the Giants, bro. Like, he's good. It's a great matchup against the Giants. I think he'll be fine. Disco Dave, 1 point PPR, need one flex. One wide receiver, Hampton, Olave, McMillan. I think, and Tet McMillan. Ooh. I think we're going Hampton, Olave. I do love Tet, though. Damn, I love Tet. I do love Tet. But no, I think we're going to go with Olave. Oh, my gosh. Look, like I said, the target share is there. The snap share is there. The air yard share is there. It's all there. It is all there for Olave to have a really nice bounce back week. San Francisco is a tough matchup, tougher matchup. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think I'm leaning Olave there just because I'm trusting the volume overall. Brian Pope, one running back, PPR, Walker, Charbonnet, or Warren. Chat, what's going on with Walker, man? Is he hurt? Anyone in Seattle know? What's up with this dude? Is he hurt? I mean, the guy, I do not understand the usage. We're talking about a team that ran outside less than 50% of the time in week number 1. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're talking about a multi-generational outside zone offensive coordinator. Like, what? What is happening here in Seattle? Why aren't they running outside zone? The only thing that I can think of is that Kenneth Walker is somehow hurt. I just, otherwise it doesn't make sense. I'm going to look up the injury report. I mean, I'm pretty sure I didn't see anything for Kenneth Walker, but it is so dang frustrating when you look at this. He's not even on here. Like, what is going on? I don't know. He hasn't been limited at all, and yet they're not running outside zone. Okay. I don't know. I think they get back to, let me put it to you this way. I think they get back to their roots. I think Clint Kubiak is going to get back to his roots. They're going to run outside zone. If it's outside zone, it's Walker. It has to be Walker. I'm going back. I'm going to go back to Walker, man. I don't feel great about it. But Clint Kubiak cannot be running outside zone less than 50% of the time. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's multi-generational outside zone coach. His dad made it famous. Like, how does he? I don't know, man. Unless Mike McDonald is that hard-headed and is like, no, man, we got to establish the run down the middle. Unless he's an idiot, Mike McDonald, I think, and he's forcing Clint Kubiak to make that happen, which, by the way, would make no sense. Then why the hell would you hire Clint Kubiak? If you hire Clint Kubiak, you know you're running outside zone. What are you talking about? Anyways, we'll find out. Evil Knievel, May or Dak, you got to play Dak. You have Henderson and Lamb. Yeah, that's fine. We're playing Dak. Dak is got too much upside. I love the May matchup against Miami, but Dak's got his matchup's way too nice. Stuck on 11. Need a flex, Devontae Adams, Pickens, or Mason. Man, can I just say, I think I am going to chase the Pickens upside. Let me just say this. The Giants gave up last year, the Giants gave up the third most fantasy points on deep passes. And I don't think that they have improved significantly on the back end, right? So for me, I would say George Pickens is in a great spot where he's going up against a team that's giving up a lot of production on deep passes. George Pickens is obviously their deep threat. I think he'll connect on a deep one in this ball game and really come through for fantasy managers. I really like this one. I do like Pickens chasing that upside. He's not the floor play, though. If we're looking for a floor play, I do think we like Jordan Mason. If you want a little bit of floor, we're going Mason. Pickens for the upside. And if you want a combination of both, you go Devontae, which is why you're in this pickle, Stuck On. I get it. You know, this is a great question because, man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Thomas Leo, let's go. Hey, bro, I haven't seen you in a minute. Let's go. Travis Kelce, take a shot with Fan and full point PPR. You know, I think that they're going to scheme up a little bit more for Travis Kelce with Xavier Worthy banged up. So I think they will take a little bit of a shot here with Kelce. That being said, he is on my sleeper list because Fannin has a wonderful matchup against Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is really, really good, but for whatever reason, they have a little bit of trouble defending tight end. So for me, I like Kelce here. Fannin's got a really good matchup, and he did. I'm talking myself into Fannin right now, y'all. And he did have 9 targets last week, which led the Cleveland Browns. And you would think that they're going to be trailing relatively heavily in this matchup as well. Divisional game, though, could be a little bit lower scoring. Man, I don't know. Overall, I think I'm still going to go Kelce, though. I think I'm still going to lean Kelce right there. By the way, that's how far Kelce has fallen, that a rookie from Bowling Green in Harold Fannin Jr. is in that same conversation fantasy-wise. That's tough. Everyone gets old, but damn, that is tough. Tom Jackson, one of my favorite sports commentators, by the way, Tom Jackson. Who remembers him from ESPN? Andrews or Fannin? I think we're still going Andrews here. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson loves Andrews. Keenan Allen or Kenneth Walker PPR? Oh, my God. Listen, this whole Kenneth Walker chat, listen. Kenneth Walker has me straight up depressed. I was so confident that Kenneth Walker was going to have a great season. I invested in him everywhere because I think it's a great scheme fit, and I think he's a good player. After week 1, where he played 40% of the snaps, Sharps played 60%. Yeah, you just can't be that confident, man. Go ahead and give me Keenan Allen there in PPR, man. It hurts the soul. J-Dubs, good morning. Let's go. 6-point passing touchdown. Bop, 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 bop. This is what I do. There's too many settings, bro. Dackerfields, we're playing Dak. You get 6-point pass touchdowns, we're playing Dak. JMO, Abuka, Hollywood, Keenan Allen, Booty, Henderson, bruh. Start 2 with the flex. J-Dubs, yo, too many names, and maybe Jim goes through that, but the way I roll, bro, you cannot ask me, you can't give me half your roster and say set half my roster. Can't do it. I love you, J-Dubs. Come on, man. Help me help you, though. Help the people out there, bro. I can't go through 7 different dudes. Come on, bro. Go Blue. Michigan had a good game against Michigan. What was it? Michigan Central? Central Michigan? Yesterday, a good game. PPR Hampton or Connor? PPR Hampton or Connor? I want to lean on Hampton here. I do like how much volume that Hampton was seeing there. And I think the Las Vegas Raiders, while they have improved defensively, I still think they're, a little bit behind defensively. So I'm going to go Hampton. I like Hampton right there. Austin Slaughter. What's going on, man? Good to see you, pal. Pick 2 PPR. Hollywood, Charbonnet, Tillman, Waddle, Shakir, or Sampson. Again, this is on the borderline. It's on the borderline. Pick two. In terms of too many names, my guy. Come on, Austin Slaughter. You've been in my streams before. You know the rules. Come on, homie. Help me out. Austin Slaughter. You've been in my streams before, man. Pick two. Flex PPR. Okay. We're playing Hollywood, and I am going to lean towards, oh my gosh. I want to lean towards Tillman in this one. Hollywood and Tillman, I think, are my plays. I think if you want a little bit of a better floor, though, I think we are going to go Samson. I do think that Samson still ends up seeing like 65% of the snaps. So, you know what? Let me go ahead and actually change that. Let me go Hollywood and Samson right here. I don't have a great read, obviously, on Cleveland's backfield. I know they're going to get Judkins involved. How much? He missed the entire preseason. I don't think it's going to be that much. I think he might get 5 carries, maybe, at most. Valor. PPR, Juwan Johnson, Harold Fanning. We're going Juwan Johnson. He's on the field way too much. Harold Fanning is right now, he is the backup. I know it's like 50-50 split. They run a lot of 12 personnel there in Cleveland, but still, Juwan Johnson's playing way too much. He saw a ton of targets. I think Rattler will continue to lean on him as well. So go ahead and give me Juwan Johnson. Richie Mercado. Who would you start? Andrews, Loveland, Kincaid. I feel like we answered this one. So I'm going to say Andrews right there. Trevor, Waddle or Tillman, Io Manor. Definitely not Io Manor. We're out. I know he saw a lot of air yards and target share and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not in on like Io Manor, man. I think maybe I'm wrong, man. I just think he's a guy, honestly. Week 1 was weird. It's the rookie quarterback making his first start, and like that team just did not look like they're on the same page. By the way, Tennessee's offense right now does not look good. And like you could say it's week 1 or whatever, but nah, I'm out on Tennessee right now. I like Ridley as the only option. Pollard too, just due to sheer volume. But any of these ancillary characters in Tennessee's offense, nah, I'm out. I really want to go Waddle here, man. But you know what? I'm still going to say Tillman. Look, they're going to be trailing quite a bit, you would imagine. And it might be ugly for Tillman. So don't freak out in the first 3 quarters. I would say the fourth quarter, we're looking for garbage time points. I think we're looking for some catch-up points, man. Like I think fourth quarter points, fourth quarter production for Cedric Tillman is what I am looking for. Joe Farmer. Joe Frome. Okay. PPR, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, too many names. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, dog. I can't do it, man. Oh, man. Okay. I think we got that one already, so we're good. This one's from Stacy Nakagawa. Let's go. Pacheco or Shakir, half-point PPR. We're not playing Pacheco anymore, y'all. Pacheco's out. Pacheco, he just doesn't play enough. He plays sub 50% of the snaps. He's not running well. He doesn't look like the same guy before the injury. He's just not that guy anymore. He's not that like 220-pound, 439 guy. He's not that guy. He's not running well. He's not running with a lot of power. He doesn't have a lot of juice, and he's in a 3-way split with Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith. I want no piece of Pacheco. He could slam one home. He could. Philadelphia's defensive line, though, is insane. So I would say we're going Shakir in a half-point PPR situation here. Disco Dave, non-PPR, TD-heavy league. You have to have 5 wide receivers. Drop Worthy for Mooney. No, don't drop Worthy for Mooney. I like Mooney too, but I think Worthy has higher upside as the season wears along. Sarwar, Abdulatif, I think is how you pronounce it. I probably butchered that. My bad. Sarwar. Zach Charbonnet, Sampson, or Diggs. Choose one to start in the double flex half PPR league. You got to start one. I am going to pick Dylan Sampson for the floor. I like the Diggs upside, but I think Sampson is my call right there. I think Sampson is going to be, like I said, I think he's going to see 65% of the snaps there. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. The matchup is obviously not the best, but sometimes volume matters the most. Volume does matter the most, more than matchup, honestly. But volume matters the most, and I think I'm going to go Sampson right there. William Cooley. What? Dude, I can't even decipher that one. I cannot decipher that one. Oh, Denver's kicker or Baltimore's? What? Okay, bro. Yo, maybe I'm tripping, man. I don't understand that one at all. Ryan Bloomrider, Calvin Ridley, Zach Charbonnet. I feel like I'm catching up. Am I catching up? I don't know. Calvin Ridley, Zach Charbonnet, Quentin Johnston for the flex. 20-man league. I love you, Ryan. You're my people, man. You're in the trenches with me, boy. 20-man league. That's amazing. Okay, Calvin Ridley, Zach Charbonnet, Quentin Johnston. I do want to play Quentin Johnston here. Pick 2, Ridley, Pickens, Charbonnet, Johnson in your 12-man. Okay, I got to pick 2. I want to play Pickens for sure, and I just said Johnston, so I'm going to go Pickens and Johnston. I think right there. Ridley is so interesting, man. I don't have a great read on it, though, because he is seeing the volume, but the offense overall stinks. So, again, that one's got me twisted up just a little bit, but I do think that I'm just going to go with the better offense, man. I'm going to go Quentin Johnston and not think about it. I definitely want to play Pickens, though, because I want to chase that upside. Matty Randoms. Dude, first of all, great screen name. Matty Randoms. Hawkinson. I got to pick 2 between Hawkinson, Hunter Henry, and Tyler Warren. We're definitely playing Tyler Warren, and we're definitely playing Hawkinson. Look, Hunter Henry is fine. He's an aging player. And just go ahead and give me the 2 guys that are much more involved in their offense in general. Hunter Henry is what? The 3rd, 4th, 5th option. Like, they want to go to the running backs first. They want to go to Kayshon Boutte. They want to go to Stephon Diggs. How much is, and I love Drake May this week, but how much is left? He's the 4th option at best. Hunter Henry, and he's also getting a little older too, and he's slowing down. So go ahead and give me Hawkinson, Tyler Warren for sure. Brock Goose. All right. Pick 1. Standard scoring. Caleb Williams at Detroit, Bo Nix at Indy. This is how you ask a question, my guys. This is how you ask a question. You throw out the names, you throw out the matchups. Boy, oh boy, let's go. For me, I am going to say I'm going Bo Nix here. I think he has a nice bounce back week. Caleb Williams looks, dude, I don't know. And look, I get it. Week 1's tough, right? Because he's going up against a Brian Flores defense, and Minnesota's, showing. I mean, they're just so crafty. They show blitz, but then drop back in coverage. They drop back in coverage, but then blitz. And Flores has been doing this for years now, right? So, like, for me, I think it's you can't totally judge Caleb on week 1. But that being said, man, he's got to pull the trigger on some of these throws, and he just absolutely looked like he was second guessing himself. So I'm a little bit worried about that. It is in the Dome in Detroit, but so it's in the Dome in Indy as well. I like Bo Nix. I think his rushing floor is pretty good too. So go ahead and give me Bo Nix. I feel much more confident in Sean Payton in that offense than I do with Caleb Williams right now. Okay, let me see here. Pick 2. How do I get to this question? Pick 2. This is from Tootsie Pop. I know how to get there. We're going to do this. Whop. We're getting all the way down. Okay, here we go. Tootsie Pop. Pick 2 between Hollywood, Devontae, Monty, Jameson Williams, CPR. I'm not in on Jameson Williams, y'all. He's too boom or bust for me. And listen, he could have a boom week this week and I look like an idiot. But how do you predict when the boom weeks are going to happen? Plus, I think they're still going to get Isaac Tesla more involved as well, man. Like, I just feel like Jameson Williams is not going to have the season he had last year. And he wasn't even, listen, other than touchdowns, he wasn't like a high volume dude. I mean, he barely got to 1,000 yards. I don't know, man. This one's tough. I think for me, I'm just going to go ahead and pick Hollywood and Devontae. Hollywood's going to see some volume. Devontae, who has, I'm assuming you're talking about Devontae Smith here, I guess. Because, I mean, again, there's a million Devontaes. People spell them all weird and stuff, and I don't know. I'm assuming you're saying Devontae Smith, but if you are, I'm going to say Hollywood and Devontae Smith right there, Tootsie Pop. Yeah. I like Hollywood's volume. Devontae Smith, I think, has a pretty decent matchup as an inside player. They've really moved him to like the slot man. They've got Jahan Dotson roaming around on the outside. They've got Devontae Smith playing outside, or excuse me, inside. I think he played 60% of his snaps as a slot player last week there in week number 1. And if that's the case, I think he has a pretty decent matchup against Kansas City slot. So, by the way, I'll go ahead and look this up for you. But Kansas City last year gave up the second most fantasy points to slot receivers there in last year they gave up the second most fantasy points in general to receivers lined up in the slot. And there in week number 1, they also gave up a nice game, a ton of production to receivers in the slot. Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey both combined to do most of their damage out of the slot. So I would say I love the matchup for Devontae Smith. I think you could play him with some confidence. Tootsie Pop. Okay. Let me try to get back to some of these questions here. This is from Trevin. Trevin for real. Njoku or Kincaid? These guys are all boomer bust, bro. I feel bad answering these questions because, again, they're so boomer bust. It's all going to be about whether or not they get goal line looks. Who's gonna end up getting a touchdown? I'm gonna say Njoku here just because he has a better matchup against Baltimore, but I don't feel confident about either one. But I will say Njoku. Baltimore has given up a ton of production to tight ends. Overall, Njoku is the nominal starter. I like Harold Fannin too. He's one of my favorite sleepers this week, but I do think that Njoku, who is in a similar situational spot to Kincaid, is in a better matchup. I'll lean Njoku. OG Bobby J, are you going to answer the paid questions? Yes, of course I am. Did I not get to one? Did I not get to yours, my friend? Pearsall or Walker or Sampson? Did I not get to yours, my guy? If I didn't, I apologize, dude. Pearsall or Walker or Sampson in the flex PPR. Oh, this one's easy. I'm going Pearsall, especially in PPR. OG. Pearsall for me, I think is the easy call. He's going to see 8 to 12 targets in this matchup. And yeah, I'm really not that worried about it. Wherever he lines up, whether it's in the slot or outside, against New Orleans, I think he's in a pretty decent spot. No one there in New Orleans scares me at all defensively. So I think Ricky Pearsall is in a really good. I don't know how you don't play. Listen, chat. If y'all got Ricky Pearsall, fire him up. Fire him the hell up. We're going. We are going for sure. Okay. David Pillsbury. Hollywood for either Etienne or Judy. Yeah, I'm sticking in Hollywood over Judy. That's an easy call for me. Judy could pop off. That's fine. It's not a good matchup. And when Cedric Tillman is out there on the field, he's been the number one. And honestly, I kind of think Tillman is just a straight up better player than Jerry Jeudy. As a matter of fact, I do think that. I'm not going to couch my words. Tillman is the better player, period, than Jerry Jeudy. More versatile, has more downfield chops. I think Tillman's skill set actually fits way better with Joe Flacco than Jerry Jeudy, to be honest with you. Jerry Jeudy really only went crazy because they had no other options in Cleveland. Tillman was hurt with a concussion. They traded away Amari Cooper. Jeudy went crazy. I don't know. I would say Hollywood for Jeudy for sure. Jabe Golub, Mason Dobbins, Kenneth Walker. We're going Mason here. It kills me. I really like Kenneth Walker too. Like I said, if they run outside zone at like 60% this week, then Kenneth Walker's going to go off. I promise you. But you can't. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's a 1 week blip, and maybe we all look stupid for this, but. I like Jordan Mason, though. Shoot, he's getting the touches. Did y'all notice, too, when they were trying to close out the game, Jordan Mason was in the ballgame, not Aaron Jones. That was pretty surprising last week there in week number 1. I thought for sure it was going to be Jones in a closeout. Nope, they went Jordan Mason. That is very interesting to me overall. Zabby, half PPR. Njoku or Andrews, we're going to go Andrews right here for all the reasons that I talked about before. Paul Corrado, Etienne Odunze as a flex. Man, we're not going away from Odunze. What we're not doing is going away from Odunze, y'all. Odunze, to me, is a great player. He's in the middle of a breakout season. I'm trusting Odunze till the wheels fall off. I don't care. And again, you could say Odunze every single week, and unless we get like 3-4 bad games in a row, I'm still going Odunze. I love his role in this offense. And Caleb Williams, I think, trusts him. I think Odunze is emerging as the true number one in Chicago. So for that reason, I would say let's go Odunze here, no question. And listen, the chat, y'all know this. I've been talking about Travis Etienne all off season long. I've been saying Travis Etienne is a good player. I've been saying Travis Etienne is the best fit for the Liam Cohen offense. Boom, week 1, we go. Right. That being said, Etienne did play Carolina there in week 1. So I know he went crazy. He went nutsoid. But, I don't think it's always going to be that way. They traded away Tank Bigsby, which makes me feel a lot better about Etienne too. But overall, I think that just means more work for Bashal Tootin than it does for Etienne. So we'll find out. I like Etienne a lot too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not backing off my take. I do like Etienne a ton. But Odunze, to me, we got to play him. Nelly Van Pay, what's going on? Good to see you. Juwan Johnson, Tillman, or Waddle. I am going to say... I think if you want some floor, I think we will go with Waddle. If you want floor. Christian Gonzalez is out. Waddle plays primarily as an outside wide receiver. Tyreek Hill has clearly soured on this team, and maybe the team has soured on him as well. Does Mike McDaniel work in a little bit more Waddle? The shoulder injury concerns me. I think if you want floor, though, I still feel like Waddle's the good play. Tillman, to me, is the upside play, and I am leaning towards Tillman. Right there, Nelly. Good luck. Juwan Johnson is always interesting, but tight end production is very up and down, and it really depends on the pass rush and things of that nature. They're taking on San Francisco, so the pass rush should be there, but how will New Orleans deploy Juwan Johnson? Is he going to be more of a blocker in this game? Is he going to be more of a pass catcher in this game? How much will San Francisco be ahead? You think they're going to be ahead for sure. How much, though? If they're within striking distance, will Juwan Johnson continue to see the amount of work that he did in week number 1? I'm not 100% sure. Aaron Josephson, start 3, PPR, Ladd, DK, Harrison, Tet, Abuka, Pearsall. Again, we're playing Pearsall. That's 1. Ladd, we're 100% playing Ladd. That's 2. DK, Harrison, yeah, you have a stacked wide receiver room. Stacked. Okay, so we're playing Pearsall, we're playing Ladd, and I'm going to go ahead and say you could start Abuka too. Yeah, we're playing Abuka. I don't know how you get away from Abuka. After the game he had last week, how do we get away from Abuka, baby? Yeah, man. All right, let's go. DK Jones, Mason Odunze, Hollywood Brown. I'm playing Odunze, baby. I'm playing Odunze. Okay, here we go. Michael Ben, Pearsall. Yep, we're playing Pearsall. Like I said, man, we're playing Pearsall, baby. All right, let's go. How you feel about Tyreek this week? Don't like him. Don't like him at all. Tyreek, Pittman, Aaron Jones. Let's see. Tyreek, Pittman. Well, we're not playing Pittman. Not against Denver secondary. Nah. Pittman's out. 100% out. Tyreek, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, not liking the atmosphere in Miami. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So I'm probably not playing Tyreek either. Let me go ahead and go Aaron Jones right there. Let me go Aaron Jones right there because JM, I feel everything that you're saying, brother. OG, why are you so mad, bro? I got to your question, dog. Like, what is going on? OG Bobby, like, my bad. I missed the question for like 5 minutes, bro. Like, can we like chill out, homie? Like, what's going on over here? Johnny Daly, Samson or Mason? I am leaning Mason right here. I like the Mason matchup a hell of a lot better than I like the one for Dylan Sampson. Baltimore has a really, really good defense overall. And Atlanta, listen, I think Atlanta is decent against the run, but overall the defense is not that good. So for me, I think it could be a higher scoring game, Minnesota against Atlanta. Go ahead and give me Mason in that one. Okay. Johnny, we'll go back to you here, pal. Devontae Adams, T-Mac, Abuka, pick 2. We're picking, I think I'm going T-Mac and Abuka as crazy as that is. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'm going T-Mac and Ibuka right there. I know, man. Getting away from Devontae Adams feels risky and scary, so I understand where you're going here. I don't know, man. I do wonder though, like how much scoring is going to happen in this LA Tennessee game. I think it's one of the lower scoring games of the week, if I'm not mistaken. The over/under is set at just 41.5. It's one of the lowest scoring games. I think it's, if I'm reading this right, yeah, it's the second lowest Vegas total this week. Only Seattle Pittsburgh is lower at 39.5. 41 is really, really low. LA has a implied total of 23.5, which is fine. I think that's fine. So, I don't know. It to me, I don't know why, but it feels like Devontae Adams feels much more like a touchdown dependent wide receiver right now. And the passing attack is being run 100% through Puka. So I don't know. I feel like let's go T-Mac and Ibuka right here, and let's just see what's going on. Anna Ruiz, Fannin Jr. or Waddle in the flex. Man, I'm going to go Waddle. No Christian Gonzalez, man. Like, I don't think New England secondary is very good otherwise. So let me go ahead and go Waddle right there. Let's see. Scott Cobe. I see you, man. Scott Cobe. Let's go. Tillman or Henry, PPR. Warren or JMO? I'm so confused by this question, dog. Tillman or Henry? Okay, if I'm picking between Tillman and who? Hunter Henry? Right? Dude, man, this is why I need full names. Okay, Tillman or Henry? I know you're not talking about Derrick Henry, right? If we're talking about Hunter Henry, we're going Tillman. Warren or JMO? I am going to go, oh God, I don't feel great about Warren. I guess I'll go JMO. I don't feel great about Warren. Again, that 39.5 point total is pretty low. Warren is, in like a three-way timeshare. Definitely don't feel good about that. So yeah, I'll stick it there. Scott, you had another question here. Thoughts on Jaylen Warren today? Yeah, again, it's a 39.5 point total with Pittsburgh with an implied total of 21, which is again one of the lowest of the week. So I definitely don't love Warren. I think they're trying to phase him out slowly but surely. And how much more? I know they didn't use Caleb Johnson. I know they didn't use Caleb Johnson a lot. At some point, they spent a third-round pick on this guy, and he was a highly productive player in college. So really, really good. I mean, one of the best running backs last year in all of college football. You're telling me this guy can't get on the football field? You're telling me he can't get on the football field? At some point, I feel like at some point they got to get, and I know this is Arthur Smith we're talking about, which is just kill me. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, I think they're going to get the rookie involved. I don't feel great about Jaylen Warren. I just don't feel that great about it, man. OG Bobby, did I miss this question for you? Is this why you're all upset? David and Njoku or Kyle Pitts? We're going Kyle Pitts 100% for sure. No question in my mind. We're going Kyle Pitts. David and Njoku is in a timeshare with Harold Fannin. I know they're running a lot of 12 personnel. To me, it doesn't really matter. Kyle Pitts is emerging and in a pretty good matchup in what could be a pretty high scoring game too. That Minnesota game, Minnesota-Atlanta game. So yeah, I would say go ahead and give me Kyle Pitts, man. Tyler Sperry. I'm pretty sure we got to this, but if I missed it, I apologize. Evans or Devontae Smith, Juwan Johnson needs Ingram. What am I missing here, man? I don't understand this question, dude. By the way, Evans, are we talking about Mike Evans? Okay, I think we're talking Mike Evans. Mike Evans or Devontae Smith? I think. Okay, if we're going Mike Evans or Devontae Smith, I'm going Mike Evans. I mean, this could be like Evan Ingram too. I don't know. Okay, and then I think Juwan Johnson versus Evan Ingram, I think, is where we're going with this. If it's Juwan Johnson versus Evan Ingram, I'm going to go Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson's seeing way too much volume. Evan Ingram is a part-time player for Denver, and dude, he's past his expiration date. He's not running well. They've got too many options. It's a Sean Payton offense. They spread this ball around. No one other than Cortland Sutton in Denver's offense really sees good target share. So go ahead and give. And the other thing about Denver too, if we're talking about Evan Ingram here, I'm guessing. Again, they use like 3 tight ends. It's the Sean Payton special, man. You know, they use everybody. Cortland Sutton's the only player that gets volume in this one. So yeah. So there you go. All right, let's go back to the live. Man, we're getting down to it here. Let's go. Here we go. Aiden Gallegos, Koh knows. What's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Jalen Warren or Swift, K. Pitts, Evan Ingram. Okay, got it. Okay, so I am going to go Swift here. He's the clear-cut dominant number 1 running back. I know they want to get Monagai more involved, but I don't know. That feels like coach speak to me. They're going to lean on Swift here, so I like Swift. Kyle Pitts or Evan Ingram. We answered this one. I like Kyle Pitts a lot. He's clearly being utilized in this offense. I know Darnell Mooney is coming back, which does lower the floor and ceiling for Kyle Pitts as well. That's okay. I still like Kyle Pitts over Evan Ingram. You need me back on a major fantasy football show. Hey, bro, I appreciate you, Gallegos, man. I appreciate you, my guy. Miko, Smith and Jigba or Hollywood Brown? We're going Smith and Jigba. JSN all day long, for sure, 100%. Big Ham. OG Bobby, I think I got your super chat question, bro. If I didn't get to it, I apologize, man. That's on me then. Big Ham, 10-team PPR, McMillan, Ibuka, or Adams or Henderson. Huh? McMillan. Okay, Tet McMillan, Ibuka, or Adams or Henderson. Are we talking about Devontae Adams? And are we talking about Travion Henderson? Bro, these are two. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. You need one flex spot. I guess if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go. I don't even know if I'm fully understanding the question, my guy, but I think I'm going Tet McMillan. Okay. Let's see. Goose the dog, and I think we're almost on it, man. Goose the dog, QB Dak. We're going Dak 100%. We got to go Dak, y'all. We have to play Dak this week. I love Dak. Wide receiver, you got Jacoby, Ridley, Sutton, Tet, or Shakir. I don't care about Shakir. I don't care about Jacoby. For me, it's either Ridley, Sutton, or Tet. I'm going to go Tet right here. You got Chuba in the flex. Okay. Oh, okay. So you're playing Chuba. Okay. If you want to full total upside, let's go Ridley. No, I'm sorry. Let's go Sutton right there. Let's go Sutton right there. Goose the dog. And we're definitely playing Dak. Y'all, we got to play Dak. We got to play Dak this week, man. Nelly Van, I wish I don't know if I saw your second question, Nelly. I don't know if I saw it. Asking for a friend. Okay, here we go. Asking for a friend. Fanner or Ingram? Dude, guys, get off of Ingram. I am not interested in Evan Ingram. Not interested in Evan Ingram at all. Meta zone. Pat Mahomes or Justin Fields. Watch Evan Ingram go out there and get 2 touchdowns, which could totally happen because, God, it's fantasy football. But it's like he's a part-time player. They're playing 3 tight ends. They got like 17 wide receivers they want to get to. They got 2 running backs. They got 4 running backs. It's like it's a Sean Payton special right now in Denver. Everyone under the sun. It looks like a freaking diner menu. Pat Mahomes or Justin Fields. Crazy enough, I'm going Justin Fields. I hope I got that one in on time. Crazy enough, I'm going Justin Fields. I do not like this matchup against Philadelphia. The wide receivers are banged up, man. I'm not meta zone. I'm not feeling Pat Mahomes this week. And I love Pat Mahomes, obviously. So yeah, JSN meta zone. JSN or Ginty at the flex. We're going JSN. Uncle Ted, Samson flex. Oh, he's answering questions. Okay, cool, man. Scott Cobe. I got to your questions though, Scott. Did I 100% got to your questions, man. Scott Cobe, I did. No? I'm like 99% sure. Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. All right. Let's go. I think that's it, y'all. I wish I had more time. I wish I could get more questions, man. I do. I feel bad. Um, shoot, man. So there we go. I think we're there. Anyways, hey chat, I appreciate y'all, man. We're up against it, man. I hope everyone has a great week number 2. Man, if you guys have more questions, obviously find me on Twitter, find me on any social media platform. Actually, you could DM me anywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever it is. You can find me on YouTube as well. If you shoot me a DM, I try my very, very best to get to those questions. Not on Sunday because I'm over here doing the stream. But otherwise, I try my best to get to all your questions, man, out there. If I missed your questions and comments, man, I apologize, bro. But again, I try my best to get to everything, y'all. I will see you guys next week, man, and we'll get it going. All right, peace, y'all. Remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Good luck in week number 2. Peace.